All sports, all the time.
There's heroes and there's legends. Heroes get remembered. Legends never die.
This is the Spoken Podcast.
Hold your ears, folks. It's showtime.
I'm your host, Lance Twidwell.
Man, that kid, he can ball, man. He can ball.
Touchdown, Kansas City!
Patrick freaking Mahomes, baby!
Let's talk some sports, because that's what we're here to do.
You are tuned in to The Spoken.
This is the Spoken Podcast. I'm your host, Lance Twidwell, here inside the the Spoken Studios with my guy, Trevor Twidwell.
What's good, everybody?
Episode 324 is in full swing, full motion. We're so happy to be here with you and for you to be here with us. Whether you are live streaming, podcasting, or YouTube, we want to thank you so much for taking the time to be with us in this time as we have a show that I am so excited about because we have so much to get to. I do not want to waste your time. I know it's an awesome Saturday wherever you're at. Hopefully it's nice wherever you guys are at. But if you're in the Kansas City region, you know the temperature's dropping a little bit. I'm feeling pretty good about it. Trevor's feeling pretty damn good about it. He's actually over there looking like a Nirvana puked on him, so he's definitely feeling the Seattle vibes in here, if you will. Yeah. Kansas City's starting to get the gloom. Yeah, you know, I always tell people that if outside looks like a Tim Burton movie, I'm in a really good place. That's where we're starting to head.
Might write me a poem today.
It might sip some chamomile tea and chill. You know what I mean? It's gonna be one of those kind of days. But you know what? We're excited and energetic about this show at this time, and I hope you guys are as well, because we want to hear from you guys as well. I don't know if you guys have already heard about it, but we like to have a lot of interaction here on this show. We don't like to just hear ourselves talk. We like to have conversation with you guys. And that's why we need you guys to do us a big favor. If you've not already done it, tell you at the top, tell you at the bottom of every single show. Go to the Spoken Podcast on YouTube, hit subscribe, hit share, hit all the notification buttons, all the fun buttons. Hit those buttons. Hit it hard. Hit it twice. But if you guys would be so kind, do the one that we need the most is for you to hit the comment button and start chiming in during the show, because we want to hear from you guys more than anything. It is a community-driven show. We don't talk at you, we talk with you, and we hope that you guys want to join in on the conversation today, because there's a lot to talk about, and I'm so stoked to get to it, like I said, guys, and we do not want to waste any more of your time. But first and foremost, Trevor, how's your week? How's your day? How's things going up to this point of the show, brother?
Things are going good, man. As you alluded to, fall weather is getting ready to, it's right around the corner, which means school has started and football is about to start. So it's a good time of year, man. This is when things start to really get going for us and me as a father, obviously, with my kids going to school and stuff. So doing good, man. Allergies are starting to dwindle a little bit since, I don't know, my summer allergies have been kicking my ass the last couple of years, but starting to feel a little bit better with that stuff. But other than that, man, ready for some football, man.
Let's do it.
This pre-season, this pre-teasing, you know.
Yeah, no shit. Well said.
Yeah, I'm ready for some real live bullets, man, and some good things to talk about.
Well, let's not make the people wait any longer, Trevor. It is time for Lance Rants.
Gotta scream! Yeah! We're back on motion! From out to the new beat!
Wasn't that game kind of fun last night? I know you called it the pre-teasing.
Yeah.
You guys know that I cannot stand preseason football, and I'm so happy it's over. But that game last night was something that I actually needed, and we're going to talk a lot about that in just a second. And I know that you guys are excited about it. I was all over Twitter last night, and you guys were echoing the sentiments that I already had about this team moving forward. And Trev, you know what? In the words of Gen Z or whatever they say, it's giving Super Bowl, if you know what I mean. It's starting to, it's giving that. So we're definitely it was giving Super Bowl last night. Yes, again, it is the preseason, but this is what we've been talking about all damn offseason about this team. It felt like they were so locked in last night. It felt like they were a team that, most times when teams lose a Super Bowl, there's a total reconstruction or a re-imaging, if you will, of what a team's, going to be moving forward. We knew what this team was, win or lose, after that Super Bowl last season. And this team looked like a team that just locked in and is ready and immediately. It felt like one of those. It felt like one of those instances, Trevor. Remember the Cam Newton gif when he's standing on the sideline, he just does that nod and turns around, goes, grabs his helmet. That's what this felt like as a team, as a collective. Of, oh, okay, well, you know what? That sucked. We lost, but you know what? We have everything we need to get right back to where we just were. Let's get back to right where we just were. Let's lock in. Let's get this thing going. Let's add some depth. Let's add some youth, and let's make this thing. Let's do another run. Let's make another crack at this. And that is what I think we saw last night. And I think that's why Andy utilized the preseason the way he did, where he kept his most valuable pieces out of the danger, if you will. I don't want to sound so dramatic, but out of the danger of the weather and the turf of Seattle, and then got to come back home and end the preseason on a high note. Even though technically they lost the game, they're 0-3 in the preseason. We know the grand scheme of what they're actually trying to do. That's build a camaraderie, gel everyone together, get chemistry going with some of the young guys and the veterans. And I think that's exactly what Andy Reid did last night, and that's why I'm really excited about that. I want to dive a little deeper into that in just a minute, guys. But we have so much to get to, and the thing I wanted to start this actual show with was something that I still can't wrap my mind around. And that is the story that we're just now getting this week of Andy Reid essentially dodging bullets in his own office. Now, I know that sounds strange, and it sounds like a headline of like an Onion or a Babylon Bee article, but that's an actual story that came out this week via Sam McDowell at the Kansas City Star. And I just wanted to read this real quick to you guys, and then we have something that I'm really excited to share, actually. So, as crazy as it is, a bullet broke through the glass of an office at the Chiefs practice facility last summer. Multiple sources told the Star inside the office at the time was head coach Andy Reid. Reid, the 67-year-old head coach of 3 Super Bowl winning teams in Kansas City, was not struck or injured by the gunshot, and neither was anyone else, according to a spokesman for the Kansas City Police Department. But the most prominent active head coach in the NFL now works protected by bulletproof glass, sources said, a safety measure installed soon after. Several sources have confirmed the May 2024 event to the Kansas City Star. It was previously not been widely known in the 15 months after its occurrence, even among those in the building. For many Chiefs players and staff, the Star's report will be the first they have learned of the gunfire that hit the facility. Reid was working alone in the practice facility office in early May 2024 when a bullet fired from outside the building penetrated the glass and shot a hole through the window and blinds. The bullet lodged in a wall between his bathroom and the entry door to his office. That's roughly 15 feet from Reid's desk. The approximate distance between a 15-month well-kept secret and a stunning tragedy. No arrests or charges have been made in the case. The investigation is ongoing, including the location from where the shot originated. According to Kansas City Police Department spokesman Captain 𝚂𝙿𝙾𝙺, who said, quote, "There is no indication this was a targeted incident or any person or any organization. Because the building was occupied at the time of the bullet coming through the window, the case is being investigated as an aggravated assault," Beckinet said. And I hope I'm saying his name correctly. I apologize if not. 2 other bullets struck the facility during the gunfire, one hitting the 3rd floor, 1 floor above Reid's office, and another on outdoor air conditioning unit, sources said. The Chiefs declined comment for this story. The gunfire occurred shortly after midnight of the morning of May 4th, 2024, according to a sparse incident report provided by the Kansas City Police Department and obtained by the Star through the Missouri Sunshine Law. The officers who arrived at the scene in the early morning hours of May 4th spoke with overnight security, who informed them someone, quote, heard a noise and observed what appeared to be a bullet hole in a window, Beckinet said. The department refused to provide further investigative or supplemental reports, citing the ongoing investigation. So that's a lot to take in because, I mean, first of all, my first thought is there's that holy shit moment of why are we just now finding out about this, and how are the Chiefs so damn good at keeping secrets like this? They said in this report there's people inside the building that are just now finding out about this. Not just the common person like you and I here, Trevor, not just us listening to this report right now. People that actually are employees of the Chiefs are just now discovering this. And I think it goes without saying, in all seriousness, we're obviously glad nothing actually happened. Not just with Andy Reid, but anybody else, because there were multiple shots at the building, and no one was hurt. That is, first of all, the best and most important part of this entire story. We could theorize as to why somebody did this, the what, the who, and all that stuff. We can do all that. But I needed to put this out there on our show today and let the people know that this is one of the more understated stories of this era of football, because we know of the Javon Belcher tragedy before Andy Reid, and since the Andy Reid era has come about, there hasn't been anything like this. There's never really been anything like this of this magnitude when it comes to outside of the football situation and something like this taking place at the facilities. It's been very ho-hum, everything's been pretty smooth, unless somebody can point to me something that I may be forgetting. But this feels very like 2012. This feels very pre-Andy Reid. And again, this could be some strange coincidence, but it doesn't sit that way with me. It does feel like there was some ill intent here, because it was a specific area of the facility, and they know who is there at that time. There's not many people there after midnight on May 4th. You know what I mean? Like, that isn't the case. We if you've watched the Kingdom series, which I highly recommend, it was absolutely fantastic. And if you guys want to talk about that, we can. But if you know about Andy Reid's schedule, he's there very early in the morning, and he will stay there late at night. And there is a security guard presence all the time there, but it's very coincidental to me that at that specific time, and it hits that specific spot of the facility, it's hard for me to think that's just a mere coincidence.
Well, and it's hard for me to believe that whoever fired the shot didn't know. I mean, I don't know where Andy Reid's office is.
Exactly. I don't either, and I kind of don't want to. You know what I mean?
It's just some wild coincidence that maybe some shots were being fired. You know, it's not the best part of town where the stadiums are at and all that, but maybe shots were being fired and randomly some scattered bullets happened to go where they went. That's harder for me to believe than this being some kind of strategic attempt. But like I said, we're pretty tuned into the Chiefs. I've been to the Chiefs practice facility and that facility several times when I used to work for FedEx. I was never introduced I was shown like the trophies and all that stuff, and I walked around a little bit, but I don't know where Andy Reid's office was.
Right.
You know what I mean? Or is. So someone, either this was just an absolute random occurrence and just happened to be what it was, or this was an attempt and a strategic attempt at from someone who knew where to fire,
right?
Or knew where his office was, and that's just bizarre. I don't know what enemies would be willing to do something like that. There's some crazy people out there, but yeah, this is just a very strange story that was held on. I mean, kudos to whoever held this under wraps. I mean, the PR team that let this sit for over a year. It's pretty crazy that this had come out.
Well, the strangest part about it is, Trevor, because even more so this last offseason, that there was no report of this when they had literally ESPN films watching their every move, listening to all the conversations.
How they kept this under wraps.
Unless ESPN was told, hey, don't say anything.
Sue the shit out of you.
Yeah, like maybe ESPN was told, hey, don't talk about it. You know, you guys have heard about this.
I'm sure,
the rumors are true.
People knew about it, I'm sure.
But that's the thing, is like even people inside the building didn't know. Or at least that's what we're led to believe.
It should be a challenge too to this. I mean, bro, it's the security is not great around that area, around the Chiefs facility. If I'm being honest, like there was.
Well, it is probably now.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That should be a challenge to up that security and possibly move Andy Reid's office also, and like maybe get better glass too.
No, that's really the bulletproof glass.
Yeah, so, I mean, that's what I'm saying. All those challenges that should have been something that was already set in place personally. But. Yeah, I mean, I've driven up in there several times, just in an unmarked FedEx vehicle,
right?
And like kind of just waved to the gate guy. Not saying that they're not taking any shots at anybody, but like
literally,
they ended up knowing me up there. They recognized my face as who I was and what I did. But still, there's bad actors in any walk of life,
right?
And so obviously, right? Yep. So yeah, I mean, I'm sure they've upgraded the security since then, but that's a wild story, man.
Well, it is crazy too, because we actually, Trevor and I'm really excited to talk about this. I told Trevor before the show, we actually have some footage of what took place that night. No one else has this, but we are really excited to actually show you guys what took place that night. Go ahead and play that, Trevor. I didn't know that Andy was that limber. But that's incredible, man, for him to be able to, put on that kind of performance. And that was a Desert Eagle, too. So I'm just putting that out there. I was never not ecstatic about Andy being our coach, but when I know that he can do that kind of, when he can make that kind of movement, man's literally dodging bullets out here. I mean, coach for life. You know what I'm saying?
Air Force Andy.
Air Force Andy, exactly, dude. So I don't think for the record that Todd Haley could have pulled that off. But I digress. But some other news that came out this week, Trevor, that's I would say a lot less shocking and is actually more recent when it comes to what took place. The Chiefs decided to part ways with our former second-round pick, Mr. Skyy Moore. Now, this is according to Tom Pelissero. Trade. The Chiefs send Skyy Moore to the 49ers. The team will swap 6th and 7th-round picks in 2027. Now, we can get to the obviousness of this. We knew that Skyy Moore was a player that has very much struggled to find his way here in Kansas City and to find his way as an actual contributor to this team. And being a high-value draft pick, you would assume that was eventually going to happen. I think the Chiefs gave them every opportunity in the world. And the conversation I've been having with people on Twitter, because you guys know that I have been out on Skyy Moore for quite some time now. I was very happy to see this move happen, period. I was happy the fact that the Chiefs were able to convince anybody to make a trade for Skyy Moore, and I think the 49ers are a team that even I told you, Trevor, a couple weeks ago that I think the 49ers need to be on a lot of receivers. I said, go and pick up Amari Cooper if he ain't going to retire. Like, that's a team that needs wide receiver help badly, and I didn't realize how badly they actually, or how right I actually was about that, because they're willing to make a trade for Skyy Moore. Now, maybe he will become something in the San Francisco offense that he just couldn't be here in Kansas City. Maybe they'll try to utilize him as a Deebo Samuel type of player. I don't know. Our guys at All Chiefed Up were theorizing on that, about maybe that's what they're trying to do with him, to just try to get anything, a percentage level of what Deebo Samuel was in that offense, they'll try to get with Skyy Moore. I don't know, but I was very critical on Skyy Moore all the way to the very end of his Chiefs tenure, and I don't regret any of it, because I was having I'm not going to say who it was that I was talking to this week, though, Trevor, but I was talking to a very close friend of ours in the Chiefs community, content creating community, and they were talking about, like, should we be able to have our opinions on players like this when it comes to being just fans? And I said absolutely. I'm sure Skyy Moore's a great dude. I will put money on it that he's an awesome person. I'm sure of it. Like, I don't know Skyy Moore, but from everything I've heard about the guy, everything I've seen about the dude, he sounds like just salt of the earth material. I'm sure he's an awesome guy. But he's not a good football player in the standard of what he is in comparison to everyone around him in the NFL. Against you, Trevor, and I, yeah, he's a great football player. But when it comes to what his peers are, he's not. And I think it's more than fair that we can say that as fans. It's more than fair for us to sit here and talk about, hey, the Chiefs took him in the 2nd round, and a lot of people liked that pick, including us here and a lot of Chiefs fans out there. But it didn't work out, and he just did not live up to that standard of what he was supposed to be here in Kansas City. I do wish him well. I genuinely do, and I hope he's all right, and I hope that he can make peace with the fact that it didn't work well here in Kansas City, but maybe it'll work well for him in San Francisco. But there is a truth to what we're saying here, and it's okay for us, even though we don't have that experience. Our guy Jason Dunn at Chief Concerns had a very heartfelt conversation with Marcus Dash on his show this last week about the Skyy Moore situation, how he was trying to draw parallels to his career and what Skyy Moore's gone through and how he feels and why he, kind of takes the back of Skyy Moore. And I'm not going to put words in my dude JD's mouth, because I want you guys to find that video for yourself and listen to what JD said. It's about a 9-minute video of him talking about this. And if anybody knows JD, they know that he goes very much in depth with what he's saying, so his words aren't misconstrued. He gives you guys the full detail and context of where he stands on a certain topic. And as much as I respect what JD said, because I understand where he's coming from as a former player, for me, it's hard to compare what JD went through and what Skyy Moore's gone through, because what JD went through was more about injuries and not being able to overcome some of those injuries, and how that may have lessened his opportunities to be a receiving type of tight end throughout his career. Skyy Moore's situation is, I just don't think he's good enough. We all knew that JD was good enough. The man had a long, successful career in this league, was arguably the greatest blocking tight end we have ever seen. Oh, and he could catch balls at a high level if given the opportunity. He just happened to play with, at that time, the greatest tight end who ever walked this earth. And so I understand being a former player, you see it from that perspective. But from a fan's perspective, we see it as more on the cutthroat side of things, more on a business type of thing, especially when you're not good. When you're great or when you're really good or you're just good, we tend to give you a little bit more leeway and we say, well, no, let we see things more of an optimistic standpoint and we don't look at it as cutthroat. But when you're a player that got picked like that, like Skyy Moore did as early as he did, and you're not living up to it and you're not even productive at all, and you're, dropping passes in year 4, and you're talking about, like I was talking about last couple weeks ago, about how in year 4 this man's talking about, I got to quit catching the ball with my chest. I got to quit catch the ball with my body. I need to catch the ball with my hands. Yeah, that's stuff you should learn in your rookie season.
Catch this trade.
Right, you know what I mean? And that's kind of the... So I'm not going to speak for everybody because I know there's some heartless bastards out there that are probably saying very demeaning things about Skyy Moore at a personal level. That's not what we'll do here. But we can be very cutthroat about the player because that's fair. You can be critical about what someone does or doesn't do in their profession and it not being something that I would deem as crossing the line. Do you see it the same way, Trevor?
I mean, yeah. I mean, it's social media is just, I mean, when it comes to like people just saying demeaning things and meaning things, it's because they can do it from behind. No one would ever say, even just Skyy Moore's not some like big intimidating dude, but no one's even going to say it to his face,
right?
Because people understand there's repercussions and consequences for doing things in real life. This is honestly one of the biggest problems with society and just social media in general and media in general. People just, I mean, it brings out the worst of us and the best of us sometimes, but the worst of us especially when people just that shouldn't have a voice, honestly, get a voice. I mean, it's a part of the freedom of speech, but it's just like, man, there's so much just nonsense floating around there. But I mean, as far as the Skyy Moore thing goes, man, like I think we just this conversation's gone long enough just talking about the guy, in my opinion. Like outside of him having that opportunistic situation where he had a score in the Super Bowl because absolutely no one saw it coming, we might as well be talking about Justin Ross.
Right.
Production-wise. I mean, he's done nothing since he's been here. Outside of that one score in the Super Bowl that literally no one saw coming, which was a brilliant idea from Andy Reid to draw that play up for him. Kadarius Toney scored in a Super Bowl as well.
Well, so, I think it was the next drive, I think, if I'm not mistaken.
Same play just flipped.
Or no, Kadarius, I think, might have been first, yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, it doesn't, like, it's just... There should having this conversation about Skyy Moore. No offense to him, but he, like you said, he can only be compared to his peers. And as fans, we can compare him to his peers. He's not been a good professional athlete, and as far as just being he's just a non. Having a conversation about Skyy Moore, honestly, and what he's done and produced as an NFL athlete is basically a non-starter.
Yeah,
it should be like a 30-second conversation.
Right.
And no offense to him, I wish him the best. I don't expect anything. I don't expect anything from him in San Fran. I think he's literally just a throw-in depth piece that could be a special teamer that might catch a ball or two this season, because that's what he's been his whole entire career.
Right.
A part of it, and being a part of an even better franchise. So I wish the best of Skyy Moore, but he's one of the worst second-round picks in the last decade.
Yeah, and that's kind of where I'm going to segue as well, because and let me say one more thing before I segue. I tweeted something out that I'm giving Brett Veach a lot of credit for being able to get a trade of any type, even though this is not high value return. They're swapping 6 and 7 round picks in 2 drafts from now. But the fact that Veach was able to do it, I did credit them, and I had people push back on me and say, well, Lance, yeah, sure, they're getting something out of it, but he was a second-round pick. That's a waste of a pick. I think what people are doing is missing the point of what I'm trying to say, is that, yes, Veach whiffed on that pick. We can all admit that. Brett Veach, in the deepest part of his marrow, would say that as well, even though I know he believed in Skyy Moore, just like a lot of us, like I said, did initially. Yeah. But being able to take your mistake, your whiff, and say, okay, I'm now going to learn from this and get out of this situation, as opposed to being foolish and ignorant and say, no, Skyy's going to make this team this year, and we're going to try to get him in year 4 to, try to finally get a player out of him. And that's just not what they're doing, because that is the definition of insanity, is to just try and run that back. To me, that's when Veach would fail ultimately. Look, he's gonna swing and miss on picks. It's gonna happen. So I'm not gonna hold that over his head too much, especially, like I said, when you consider the fact this motherfucker's drafted his ass off more times than not. Yeah. I'm gonna give him the benefit of the doubt. But to me, the real mistake would be to ignore or try to choose to look around, circumvent the real problem, which was Skyy Moore not developing and not adjusting to that. To me, Veach said, okay, you're not becoming the guy we draft you to be. We got to get out of this, and we got to give other guys opportunities. Yes.
It's just the only reason people even know who this guy was, and honestly, the only reason this got like a semi-headline to the Niners is because he was a part of this Chiefs dynasty.
Yeah.
And he was on this, like, otherwise this would have been like one of those like things that kind of got swept under the rug real quick. And Skyy Moore's on the Niners now. When did that happen? The only reason this was like being reported by Schefter and these other big names is because it's the Chiefs sending a player to the Niners, two very successful franchises that have a lot of history together.
Yeah.
So that's why it's a story.
And like I've always said,
Skyy Moore. No offense to him. This is not about Skyy Moore.
Well, and how many times have I've brought this up on the show before too, Trevor, about why I usually have peace when the Chiefs move off a player, even if I don't initially agree with it. How many times have we seen a former Chief player, the Chiefs move off of, trade, cut or release, whatever? How many times we see those guys go on to become a bigger name or more of a resounding player after the Chiefs move off them?
Right.
You know what I mean? Because more times than not, if they do ever become that, it's because they came back to the Chiefs. Yeah. Like Juju. Juju goes and gets his money from the Patriots. We're like, hey, man, best of luck. We appreciate him helping us win a Super Bowl here in Kansas City. And then it fails. It's an abject failure in New England.
Yeah.
And then he comes back to Kansas City. He goes right back to the Super Bowl, and his prominence is back. That's kind of the only example you can really have is you have to go back to Kansas City to go and have that type of success, that type of reverence or just relevance, like you're saying, at all, is to go back to Kansas City or stay in Kansas City. I think that's why a lot of guys like being here more than just the Super Bowls, is also because they're relevant. And I think that Skyy Moore, even though San Francisco is a very prominent franchise, a very successful franchise, I would say there's a really good chance that he just disappears.
That's what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Like I said, this is just a depth piece move. He's going to be probably more on special teams than anything. Juwan Jennings should be back soon. Ricky Parasol's an up-and-coming receiver. Is probably going to be the receiver one for a while, at least until Ayuk gets back. So they got guys that are kind of in the midst waiting that are going to be back, and they still have Christian McCaffrey. They still have George Kittle, an elite tight end. So he's just going to be there because I know they signed D-Rob, which was a good signing because D-Rob's been actually good the last couple of years. I will say D-Rob's probably the best example of a guy who's actually played really well since leaving the Chiefs.
Sure, okay, that's fair. That's fair.
He's been good with the Rams the last couple of years.
That's fair.
At least as a role player over there, and actually has been on the field a lot.
Yeah.
So I'll give him that. Granted, he's going from one great scheme to another.
And another awesome quarterback.
Right. Yeah. So now he's being suspended, I think, the first 3 games, Demarcus Robinson is. So I just think if D-Rob wasn't being suspended, I don't think this trade even happens. Bro.
Sure.
So it is what it is. It's just little minute.
And the biggest reason I'm bringing up this story is obviously we had to talk about it, but it's also because of the fact that I put out a list yesterday on Twitter before the Chiefs game, and I didn't do that intentionally, but it kind of worked out in a good way because obviously a lot of Chiefs fans were online last night getting ready for the Chiefs game, and the Chiefs game went the way it did. A lot of excitement, things like that. But I did post something that was maybe a little more on the controversial side. And if we can go ahead and put that on the screen, Trevor, this is my top 5 worst draft picks in the Brett Veach era. Now, I will say this wasn't easy to put together because Brett Veach, like I said, is drafted very well. And so I had to put this out there, and maybe there should be some context to it, but this is my list right here, and I'll explain a little bit in detail as to why this list is the way it is. But, yeah, Breland Speaks, top of the list. Skyy Moore, number 2. Number 3 is FAU, Felix Anudike-Uzomah. Number 4 is Clyde Edwards-Helaire, and then number 5 is Lucas Niang. Now, I'm going to explain to you guys, you don't have to agree with this, and trust me, a lot of people did not, but I also think that people disagree with me for reasons I don't think they I don't think they really understood where I was coming from with some of these guys on this list. So for me, in order for you to be a true and genuine bust or a bad pick, you got to be taken within the first 3 rounds. Because outside of the first 3 rounds, and that might even be going a little too far. It honestly should probably be the first 2. But I'm going to give some leeway and say the first 3. First 3 rounds, you got to be a pick within the top 100, 120 picks at least. Outside of that, you're just a crapshoot. Honestly, you probably are anyway. But that's why I couldn't put guys like Darian Kennard. I couldn't put guys like Joshua Kando. I couldn't put those guys in that mix because they were never expected to be awesome players. Yeah. They're just, if you become something like L'Jarius Sneed, a 4th-round pick, if you become L'Jarius Sneed out of the 4th round, holy shit, it's because it's not supposed to happen. Isaiah Pacheco, 7th-round pick, not supposed to happen. Those guys are crapshoots. If you look at the majority of these guys on this list, they're all 1st, 2nd-round picks. In fact, Lucas Niang is the only one on this list that isn't a 1st-round pick. And the reason I'm going to start with Lucas Niang is because of the fact that Lucas was drafted a lot lower than he was supposed to be. He was actually a 1st-round talent, but he had injury problems at TCU. But we heard guys like Chase Young, who was a superior pass rusher in college, talked about the toughest guy he ever went against was Lucas Niang. And the Chiefs drafted Lucas Niang to become their starting tackle. And it just never transpired. Every single time Lucas got an opportunity on the field, he got hurt or he looked bad, he looked out of shape, weebly wobbly. Like he was a guy that a lot of people had expectations for, and he just simply did not become anything of note in Kansas City. And I was the leader of the Niang gang. You remember those days, Drew? I was talking about that. I was a part of the Niang gang. I said, let's get this guy going. I like the talent there. He's big. He's physical.
It was a need.
And yes, in a need, exactly. And he just never transpired. So that's why he made my list. Now, number 4, this was the one that everybody was hung up on. And I was getting a lot of slander for this pick of CEH being on my list. And Trevor, you know this better than anybody. I have been the biggest defender of Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Yeah. I liked Clyde a lot. Worse. Yes, I thought that Clyde was overall a good football player, and I think he could still be a good football. He's only 25, 26 years old, so maybe there is something left to him. Having said that, we have to once again look at where the player was drafted, when the player was drafted. Clyde was a 1st-round pick, and he was the 1st-round pick after the Chiefs just won the Super Bowl. So that was another thing that people were looking at is, okay, this dude out of LSU with Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson, like this is that running back that was a killer in college. He was a dual threat back. He was really good at LSU. You're adding to that Chiefs offense. I remember listening to everybody. I remember listening to a Buccaneers podcast when they were watching live on the draft of Clyde going to the Chiefs. They go, this is unfair. They were so pissed off because everybody just assumed Clyde was going to eat in this offense. And to his credit, his rookie season, he was awesome. He was awesome in his first season. Had, I think, over 1,000 total yards. I think it was like 8 or 9 touchdowns. He looked like he was on his way to becoming a star running back in this league. And then injuries happened. Now, this is where people were getting upset with me because I was explaining myself as to why Clyde made my list, albeit lower on the list, but still on the list. Was the fact that injuries do play a part to why a guy is a bust or a failure based upon his draft. Guys, injuries are a part of the game. And if injuries are going to be a part of your story, that is a reason why you're never... What do we always talk about, Trevor, about some of the greatest athletes of all time? Who's a name that always comes to mind when it comes to the greatest athletes we've ever seen? Bo Jackson, correct? Sure. But why? What is always a part of his story? What could have been? Why? Why was it what could have been?
Especially they got longevity.
Because he got injured in football. And he was never... Yes, that hip injury ruined his life. I mean, not his life, but it ended his athletic career. It ended his career. Tua Tagovailoa, high draft pick, talented individual, has put up gaudy numbers at times. What's been his biggest stick? He gets injured. He has brain injuries.
Yeah, Carson Wentz almost would have had an MVP season.
Did that not change the trajectory of his career? Yeah. If Carson Wentz doesn't tear his ACL on that dive into the end zone, where are we at right now with Carson Wentz?
Super Bowl too. Yeah,
his entire legacy is different. The Nick Foles thing never happens.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like there's the injury to the quarterback before Tom Brady went in, or Drew Bledsoe when he got hurt. Maybe we don't ever see Tom Brady become Tom Brady. So injuries play such a pivotal role in people's careers inside and outside of your domicile, if you will. Like it isn't just always just you that it directly impacts. It impacts other. There's a butterfly effect to it all. And Clyde's injuries changed everything, and it forced the Chiefs to go and take the running back a little bit, change the way they evaluate the running back, because I know they're never going to take a first-round running back ever again because of who? Clyde Edwards-Helaire. It did not work, guys. He did not ever become the guy that they expected him to be, and that is why he makes my list. It's not because I didn't like him. I was a big fan of Clyde's. But when you look at the grand scheme of what he was in his time in Kansas City, it did not live up, and it got worse and worse and worse. It wasn't like he had a really good rookie year, bad, injury-ridden second year, but then year 3 he had 1,200 yards and 12 touchdowns. That you wouldn't be a bust in that regard. It's because of the fact that it got worse and worse and worse as time went on, and that's why he makes my list. Yeah. So we're having issues with Trevor. Is that what we're
Julie
in?
was saying that she can barely hear me, so I don't know if anybody else is having that same issue with my mic. Can you guys? How's my voice coming? Is it? Can you guys hear me? Just give me a second. I don't know from the chat if they want to give us a. Well, Julie was saying that she can be. Unless Julie's having issues on her end, I don't know. It could be.
I can hear you on the. Yeah, I mean I can hear you. I don't know.
We'll carry on. If anybody else other than Julia is having issues hearing my voice, just let me know.
Yeah, and let's check your side of things too on the settings too, to just make sure that you're on the right settings. But yeah, we should be good on that, man. I can't believe it's like transitioning from me to you. That's kind of stupid, but I guess that's just the issues we deal with here. But let me just finagle some stuff real quick. Go ahead, Trevor, and see if you.
Testing.
Yeah.
Julia. Can you hear me, Julia? I haven't heard. Yeah, Ruben said the mic is low, Trev. I don't know. I might mess with something on my end and see. It sounds good on our end. I'm not sure what's going on their end. I don't know.
Maybe you guys are all tripping. I mean, that's what it is. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I might mess with a couple things, but I don't think there's too much to.
Yeah, but so that's my number 4. I'm just going to continue, Trevor. We'll work with that as we go, man. But my number 3, look, this is a guy that I was trying to be slow to when it came to my criticism on him. I treated him a lot like Clyde, and that is 𝚂𝙿𝙾 𝙳𝙴. He is a guy that I was trying to give as many opportunities to as possible before I made a definitive stance on him. But now that he's on the IR and he's gonna miss this season, it's year 3. It's that time to put up or shut up, as we've all been talking about. It's the time for him to show what he can be in this defense. We're now not going to see him. And I just talked about with Clyde about how injuries played a factor in Clyde's career. Well, now it's playing a factor in FAU's career, and this is something that just cannot be ignored anymore. This is year 3, guys. It's a put up or shut up type of situation for FAU, and he's not going to be able to do it now. And that's unfortunate because I'm rooting for the kid. I do expect it, and I told you this last night, Trevor, during the game. I am expecting, starting the 2026 season, FAU will be on this roster. Will he make the roster? Will the Chiefs maybe treat it like a Skyy Moore situation? Maybe. He's a first-round pick, and I think the Chiefs value that. But as time is going on, that pick is looking worse and worse. And you know, I just think that. I think that this was, if the Chiefs could go back in time, this is definitely one they would take back. I know the biggest, I think if the Chiefs weren't hosting that draft, they don't make this pick.
Yeah.
I think they probably trade up or trade down.
It's a bit forced.
It just, it felt too situational now. I didn't want to believe or buy into the idea, the theory that they went and took a local kid and they just made this pick because, you know, they were hosting the draft. I didn't want to believe that. But now it's starting to feel that way. Maybe that wasn't their true intentions, but it now just it just looks murky through my lens, and I just think this is a wasted first-round pick. I think that the Chiefs could have definitely done better with this one. I'm sure you guys have names that you would have rather seen the Chiefs pick in hindsight. I'm not going to do that. All I'm going to say is I'm just grading this pick and looking at it. This is an abject failure. And it sucks, and I would love to be proven wrong. I'd love for FAU to come back in year 4 and explain to us or justify that pick and becoming a real savage. But when you have 4 career sacks in 3 years or 2 years, whatever it is, as a first-round pick, that's just not good enough. But then Skyy Moore, it's the obvious. A second-round pick, a guy that was supposed to be that next awesome receiver for the Chiefs. The Chiefs just traded away Tyreek Hill. The emphasis was, hey, you got to go out there and you got to go get some guys, go get some skill players. And everyone's like, oh, this Skyy Moore kid, awesome hands, can run routes real well, create separation. He's a little undersized, but, man, he's got insane good hands, big hands, reliable guy. You know, he's a playmaker. And that guy never came about, man. He had 2 total touchdowns in almost 40 career games.
He was supposed to be the cover 2 beater.
And he just was never that. I know that, and look, I respect everyone's opinion. Our guys are all chiefed up. Steve and Mike, they often felt like Andy Reid maybe didn't utilize Skyy correctly. Maybe that is true. I will say, though, that talent usually does reign supreme.
Well, there's only one way to find that out.
Right.
If he goes to San Fran and looks great, then
that is a failure on Andy Reid.
And disappears, and that's a wrong narrative.
Right.
Just outright.
Yeah, and I think that they're trying to make sense of the situation. If I'm going to give them a little devil's advocate,
the situation just is what it is.
But yeah, sometimes it is, and I think they know that. I think we know that here, obviously, in our show, and I think that that's just the way it's the cookie did crumble. Is that Skyy Moore just never became what we were expecting him to be, which was, and it sucks too, because like I said, when you're coming to Kansas City, you made this point, Trevor. When you play for a team like this, the pressure is so high. You know what I mean? Especially when you are a guy that is essentially, fair or unfair, replacing Tyreek Hill.
Yeah.
That is what essentially he was the first receiver the Chiefs drafted after trading Tyreek Hill.
I mean, if he would have had like a McCole Hardman-esque career with the Chiefs, it would have been a massive success.
100%. Because McCole is actually a good player.
He's been awesome.
Yeah,
he's had several big moments with the Chiefs. Skyy Moore has no big moments other than that one touchdown score.
Yeah.
That's
I mean, he had that little, it was like a 38, 40-yard return on punt return against the Bengals in the AFC Championship, sure.
Yeah.
But, I mean, those are so dampened by the fact that the dude cannot catch punts. That's why that was such a miraculous play.
Yeah,
it's like
every good return he had that was 15+ yards.
I mean, yeah,
he had a muffed punt.
He is the I will forever say that he was the reason the Chiefs lost that frustrating game against the Colts in Indianapolis when Patrick Mahomes and Eric Bieniemy were going at each other. If he doesn't muff that punt and put the Colts on the 3-yard line, the Chiefs win that game because they lost 20-17. Travis Kelce dropped the touchdown as well, but that set the game off really in a really weird place because remember, Trevor, the Chiefs got the Colts on a quick 3-and-out. And I think the Chiefs were gonna roll in that game, but then Skyy Moore puts them right in the
freaking an annoying game.
Yeah, man, that was very frustrating. So, like I said, the Skyy Moore era was just it was like a lump in your throat. You know what I mean? You feel like because everybody wanted him to be good. Everybody wanted him to be good, and a lot of people believed in him, ourselves included.
Yeah.
And he just never became anything. And then the number 1 pick, I mean, new money Chiefs fans may not even know who this guy is, and it's understandable because he literally never did anything for the Chiefs. It was Breeland Speaks. The reason why he takes the number 1 is obvious. He was a 2nd-round pick, but also the fact he was Brett Veach's very first pick as Chiefs GM. And you guys know I'm a Brett Veach guy here. We're Team Brett Veach around here. I don't think there's a way that Brett Veach could make a worse pick than this.
It wasn't a good start.
It was a terrible pick. And there's video of myself, Clay Windler, and Shaggy Shane Williams at Shaggy's house when that pick went down. And I didn't really have like anybody in particular that I was looking for the Chiefs to draft because I'll be honest, back then I wasn't a real draft savvy guy. Like I wasn't into it like I am now. But I can honestly tell you I never once have heard of Breeland Speaks before that day when the Chiefs drafted him. I like the draft pick from the positional standpoint, going and getting a guy that is versatile, being a defensive tackle and a defensive edge, defensive end. But I was very underwhelmed by the pick, and when I watched film, I'm like, oh man, I don't really love this guy. And I think he played 4 total games in his career. Now he did go to the UFL and have himself one hell of a career, and I think he's still playing, if I'm not mistaken. He's only 30 years old. But yeah, that I don't think that Brett Veach will ever have a worse draft pick than that one. That was about as bad as it could possibly get. And that's why I had my list. If you guys have thoughts on this list, do you guys disagree, or if you have other names, other opinions on what you guys would like to, like to add to that list, if you guys have different opinions on that, go ahead, feel free. But that's just what my list is right now, and that's where I'm gonna stick with it. I did, Trevor, and I don't know if you had anything you wanted to add on that list or not. If you had any names on there that you'd like to throw on there,
solid list. We can talk about the order of it, or whatever. Breeland Speaks obviously is the unanimous number 1, but I mean, there's some interchangeable guys, but other than that, I think those are the best. You have that list pretty much nailed, in my opinion.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate that, motherfucker. That's very nice of you. So we got to touch on the Rashee Rice stuff real quick. There's not been a lot of new development as to where things are headed. I personally believe, guys, and this might throw you for a loop, I actually do think that the Chiefs, I think the Rashee Rice representation in the NFL are going to come to an agreement before the season starts. I'll put that out there now. I don't think this is going to get to September 30th. Primarily for the fact that I think that all sides want to get this thing done as soon as possible.
Do you believe that Rashee Rice actually died and this is his clone?
I'm sure that's is
a
that
long theory, my friend.
oh yeah, I'm sure there is somebody out there that does believe that.
Damar Hamlin?
Yeah, did he take the blue pill? Like there's always some weird ass shit out there, but no,
his ears look different. You know what I mean? Like, bro,
he blinked and it was sideways. Yeah. Those were my favorite ones. He is a lizard. No, look, I do think that all sides included want to get this done as soon as possible. I don't think that they want to get Sewell Robinson involved. They actually have to do that. That's a last resort type of thing.
Yeah.
I don't think the Chiefs want to have a suspension in the middle of the season like the whole Willie Gay situation happened. I definitely think everybody wants to get this done as soon as possible. So for me, and maybe I'll be wrong, guys, but for me, the question moving forward is losing. The question should be how long it's going to be. I think that's the fair question. But I say immediately. I say they get this done immediately. That's where I stand. I mean, yeah. Let's say it's 4 games. 4 to 6 games. Let's just go with a 4-game scenario. The first 4 games on the schedule, that's a tough time to lose Rashee Rice at all, because it's a tough stretch, and it's obviously ideal to have your best receiving option in tow when you're taking on a gauntlet like that to start the year off, or at least what we're assuming to be a gauntlet.
He looks great, by the way.
He looks incredible. That fade touchdown was beautiful, dude. But if you take a good look at the Chiefs' entire schedule, though, and our guy Nick Wright on First Things First broke this down very eloquently, but if you look at the entire schedule, there isn't a stretch of actual games that isn't stacked.
Yeah.
There's not a 4 or 5 game stretch the Chiefs are going to roll right
the Giants game, and there's other games that are kind of thrown in there in the mix. But
and even the Giants have a hell of a defense too, so that might be a tough one. Who knows? But you're right. Like the outside of one game here and there, and we all know the Chiefs are going to get everyone's A effort, maybe not A game, but A effort every week because the Chiefs are mostly everybody's Super Bowl. There really isn't going to be that just gimme game anymore. You know what I mean? Those games aren't really in existence.
Yeah.
Furthermore, we know that the Chiefs' main goal is to stay healthy and be at their best going into the postseason. So losing Rashee early provides the Chiefs the opportunity to showcase the Xavier Worthy development from year 1 to year 2, because we know that needs to be a thing. We need to see Xavier, continue to ascend as a first-round pick.
I fully expect that, by the way.
But along with resuming the strong chemistry we saw from Patrick Mahomes and Hollywood Brown in preseason last year and at the very end of the season, last season, where we saw Hollywood Brown and Patrick really connect. Now, the hope is that Hollywood Brown can stay healthy enough for that to continue, but let's say he does. I do think that chemistry between those two veteran players is going to continue to get more and more immense. Another reason for this being the best scenario for the Chiefs, with Rashee being suspended early in the season, is being able to add their top-tier weapon while allowing the soon-to-be 36-year-old Travis Kelce to be as rested and ready for potentially his final postseason run. We don't know if this will be Travis's last year or not, but let's say it is. Getting Rashee Rice back at the tail end of the year will give, because we know Travis is going to be a big part of this offense still. But I would rather Travis have to be a bigger part of the offense early in the season than when it starts to get a little bit colder, and then you're going to have to start seeing his productivity have to ramp back up right at the end of the year and get him worn out. Because that's what, dude, I told you guys this on this show. The biggest reason I was upset about the Chiefs and the way they handled the wide receiver room in 2023 is I think that season took the last bit of elite football from Travis Kelce. I was hoping they would be able to stretch out a little bit longer, but because he was still that sole, top tier target until Rashee eventually came together in week 8, week 9, you saw Travis Kelce give his last bit of greatness. That was top. He's the best tight end in football. You haven't seen that guy since, and I think it's because that was used up that final season.
I will say he's looked pretty good so far in the preseason.
He does.
He's moving. You can tell he's lost a little bit of weight. He's moving him pretty good. Granted, it's early.
It is early, and yes, and it's warm outside still and things like that. So we got a long season ahead of us. And I want to see Travis Kelce be as rested and ready as possible for a postseason run. And I think that adding Rashee Rice back into the equation as the season goes on is the better way of doing it, as opposed to the other way around. That's just the way I see it. Not to mention the fact that 5 of their 6 divisional games come after week 4. So along with the big matchups with the Bills that could determine playoff seeding, all those games are coming after the first month of the season of the schedule. The majority of the Chiefs' biggest, most important games come later in the season. If winning another Super Bowl is the Chiefs' plan, I believe their best bet for them to make that plan happen is to have Rashee Rice in rhythm when the postseason arrives. Do you see it the same way, Trevor, or would you like to see maybe a stretch later in the year that Rashee misses a portion of the games to get back? I mean, I don't think there's really any one way of looking at this. I think there's no right or wrong. I just think it's a personal preference of how you want to see the Chiefs kind of withstand the blow of losing him inevitably.
I mean, I think logically, I think that's the way you wanted to do it, is just to get it out of the way. Unfortunately, I think it's going to be more closer to 6 games than 4. I think at this point, because they were trying to give him double digits, and now if they go in there and negotiate and talk it down, I don't think they can talk him down from 10 to 4. Dropping 6 games. That's it's tough. I'm hoping it's around 4, but I think the logical way is for Rashee Rice to get it out of the way and be fresh and ready to make get into that mid-season to head into the postseason run, because there is a tough stretch of games down the stretch of the season. So either way, it's an L either way for us right now, because he's going to miss some significant games, because both halves of the schedule have very important games, and could be even that much more important in the second half of the season more than the first half of the season. So I would rather, if it's 4 to 6 games, get it out of the way now. That way we can prepare and be ready to start this season without him, and have backup plans, and guys like Hollywood Brown and Jalen Royals. Obviously, Xavier Worthy's going to do what he does, a totally different player in my opinion. So having game plans ready to not have him around and his skill set around to attack these opposing defenses in the meantime. But yeah, getting out of the way early makes the most sense. I mean, you don't want to have him have a hot start and look great to start the first few weeks of the season, and then be without him for a long stretch, and then try to regain that momentum again. That seems awful. It feels like that's what the NFL is going to try to do. I don't know. This whole thing's murky, man. It's really annoying. Best case scenario, they can just push it to next season, and he just plays this year through, and we figure it out next year, and it comes down to 4 at that point, 3 or 4 games. But I'm feeling like it's going to be around 6 games, man.
Well, and according to Adam Schefter, he clarified some things this week, so I guess I lied. There hasn't been any updates, but I guess this is considered an update. Adam Schefter did report this week that the NFL allegedly hasn't been looking for a 10-plus game suspension for Rashee. They were looking more towards 8. Now, I don't know if that's Adam Schefter just being a good boy and throwing a bone to the NFL as a favor to maybe lessen the bad optics that come with that for the NFL, because that does look really bad. If that is true, the NFL was looking for a double-digit game suspension. That looks fucking terrible.
That makes no sense.
Yeah.
Bro.
So if they're looking for an 8 game, and let's say that is true, then I can understand the NFL, but where they're standing on it. But like Adam Schefter said, it's going to be more in between 6 to 4 games. So I think right now it's going to be 4 or 5 games. I don't think that the NFL is going to be able to get 6 to 8. I don't think, because of the fact that the NFLPA is going to continue to hammer home the whole precedent aspect of this, the NFL is going to have to concede a little bit here, because, again, there is not any precedent to get 6 to 8 games for Rashee Rice.
I mean, I look at it as similar to, I know it's a totally different landscape that we're talking about here, but similar to like contract negotiations.
Yeah.
Like if a guy who's similar skill set, maybe not as good, but he's still negotiating a contract to get paid similarly to what the tops of his position is getting paid.
Yeah,
it's the same thing when a similar situation in a disciplinary action has been taken on a guy that did a similar thing, and he got 3 games.
Right. In
the Jordan Addison situation, that should be a direct comp to what they should do, and the discussion should be circled around what they did with him in a similar, and honestly, a worse situation, damn near, because this isn't his first time.
It's a repeat offender. Yeah.
So like
exactly.
If that's the scale we're looking at, that's how we're measuring this situation. 10 games feels like a personal attack.
Yeah.
How could it not?
Right.
So, I mean, obviously, it's not going to be 10 games, but even if it's 6, that's bullshit in my opinion.
Yeah.
But that's what I feel like is coming down. I feel like it's going to be at least 5-6 games.
Well, yeah, because what you're basically telling not just Chiefs fans, but NFL fans and everybody really that pays attention to the story is that Rashee gets twice as much of a punishment as a guy who's done twice as many offenses. Like, how does that make sense in the grand scheme of things? Like, how does the NFL put that together and say, yes, a guy who has had his first offense, again, stupid as fuck, really, really, really stupid, could have gotten somebody really hurt or killed or himself. Yeah, that is dumb, and that he should be suspended for that. But a guy who was literally falling asleep, who fell asleep behind the wheel on the highway, and the other time was driving 140 miles an hour, could have killed anybody and himself in those instances, is getting half the punishment as the guy who has his first offense. Like, it just doesn't register with me either. So yeah, that's why I think it's going to probably fall to the 4 to 5 game aspect of this, because the NFLPA is just not going to stand for that. The problem that they have with the NFLPA though right now is there's not a lot of real strong representation there. As I know, they don't have like a leader of the NFLPA right now. There's no like strong presence there. Like the NBA has Chris Paul. That's a pretty strong presence to have for your NBA, Players Association. Sure. The NFL doesn't really have that right now. So I'm looking for, a little bit more strength from their side of things. I do think the Rashee Rice representation is very strong, though, from his legal side. So that will help this whole situation as well. But it's just, to me, man, when it comes to when this should happen immediately. And I am expecting for the first month and maybe some change for Rashee to be gone. I don't personally believe it's going to be 6 to 8 weeks. I think it's going to be more 4 or 5.
That'd be a massive win. Honestly.
Yeah, it absolutely would be. And I do agree with you. Rashee looked incredible this week, but I think that whenever he does hit the field, he's going to hit the field running, and he's going to get back to what we know him to be. And I think he's going to be a guy that the Chiefs look to extend after this season. That's going to fulfill my trio of guys that I expect the Chiefs to resign. They already got Trey Smith, George Karlaftis, and I think Rashee's next. We even heard Brett Veach say during the broadcast last night with Trent Green and Eric Wolf that they have a lot of money they're going to be rolling over into next season because they got business to handle. And I think that Rashee is one of those guys they definitely want to pay because he's in the prime. He's about to enter the prime years of his career, and outside of him, even with Xavier Worthy included, the Chiefs really don't know what they have moving forward at wide receiver.
Yeah, I think a lot of this does. I mean, we got years to talk about this.
Yeah,
a lot of this does hinge on the development and production of Jalen Royals as well.
Sure,
if Jalen Royals goes out there and he's a mirror image of what Rashee Rice has been, then
that could shake things up.
Yeah,
they can definitely, because the Chiefs can go, okay, well, Jalen Royals is showing us that he could give us 85% of what Rashee Rice is. We don't have to pay him for 4 years, and Rashee Rice would cost us 25 to 30 a year, or maybe more.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Man,
yeah. So who knows? But I'm not. Yeah, we're not there yet. My bet would be right now you pay Rashee Rice just because he is the proven commodity in the room. But like you said, Trevor, man, if Jalen Rose goes out there,
on top of that, similarly to even the greatness of Tyreek Hill was even that much better of a receiver at the time, but the Chiefs still had leverage over his head.
Yeah.
The Chiefs now have leverage over Rashee Rice because he's already been a knucklehead. Honestly, made some dumb decisions.
The discount will be there.
They can use that. And love it or hate it, the Chiefs can absolutely use that as leverage to talk down a contract and not pay him probably what he's worth as a player.
Yeah.
But he's made some personal mistakes, and he should feel grateful that he's a part of this franchise. If not, he can go somewhere else. But at the same time, there is a discount. I think that's going to be set in place there.
Yeah, and we're definitely going to be revisiting that conversation in the near future. But what we need to get to right now, guys, because the news will probably be coming out in the next couple of days anyway as to when they start making their cut downs for the roster. But I want to give you guys my prediction on Trevor's as well on what the Chiefs 53-man roster is going to look like. Now, Trevor and I might see this a lot differently, or we might see it identically, but there are some reasons as to why I have certain positions with the number of players at those positions making the 53. But let's get right to it. The quarterback position, there's no mystery there. The Chiefs are going to keep 2, and it's going to be Patrick Mahomes and Gardner Minshew. I don't know if you have any different opinion on that, Trevor, but I'm pretty sure that's
not at all.
That's where we're lockstep, if you will. Yeah. But it might change right here at running back. I am somebody who very much believes the Chiefs are going to keep 3 running backs. I don't think they keep a fullback either, and I'll explain that in a second. I think they're going to. Well, I'll just explain right now, which was a second. I think the Chiefs are going to add another piece that they would have otherwise at fullback to the interior presence of the ball when it comes to offensive line, defensive line. I think they're going to utilize that fullback position for that. My 3 running backs I have making the team, no shocker here, Isaiah Pacheco, Kareem Hunt, and rookie running back out of SMU, Rashad Smith. Where's your running back room looking?
I have us actually carrying 4. I have Isaiah Pacheco, Kareem Hunt, Rashad Smith, and Elijah Mitchell. I think Elijah Mitchell, he hasn't shown too much but I think his skill set does flow very well into this offense. I think he's a good pass catcher. Only real concern with him is his ability to stay healthy, because that's been the only real concern. Because when he is healthy, the dude has been a productive running back in the league. Carson Steele is the odd man out for me, honestly, here, just because I think he's a guy that can go back and sit on the practice squad. He feels kind of like a Kareem Hunt insurance kind of guy, because he has that similar build. He's a bigger guy, and he's always kind of running forward, but he just hasn't done enough, in my opinion, to... He's a decent pass pro guy, I get that, but I just don't feel... With Isaiah Pacheco healthy and Kareem Hunt getting a full off season to prepare for this season moving forward. Last year, he was possibly in need. Yeah. Right? We needed a little bit of depth there. We were kind of starving for production at the running back position there until Kareem got here. And I think Kareem kind of nudges him out entirely, honestly, of having a guy like him. Yeah. Unless Kareem gets hurt, he might get called upon or something like that. But in my personal opinion, as far as skill sets go, I think Elijah Mitchell makes sense far more than Carson Steele does. So I have us carrying forward with Elijah Mitchell rounding off that group.
All right, fair enough. And then we got to the tight end position now. I have the Chiefs holding on to 4 tight ends. I think this is one of their deeper rooms on the roster. Yeah. Travis Kelce, Noah Gray, Robert Tonyan is an absolute lock. I think he might actually play a real role in this offense this year.
He looks great after the catch too.
Right. And I love the resurgence of his career, man. It's really cool to see. Robert Tonyan's making it. I have Jared Wiley making the team. Yeah. I think that the Chiefs have plans for Jared Wiley, and I know that if they try to stuff him or stash him on the practice squad, he get picked up immediately. He's too talented, monster. Yeah, he's an absolute mammoth. I think the Chiefs you saw it last night in the game. They were running a lot of 13 personnel. You saw the play action pass to Rashee Smith, actually. I believe it was the one to Rashee Smith, where you saw Patrick Mahomes in 13 personnel with those 3 tight ends lined up. I really think they're going to utilize that a lot this year because of the fact they won't be having that fullback.
I love that kind of formation, too, because the defense, that's tough for the defense to figure out what's going on.
Right.
Because you can mix it up. There could be a play to throw to one of the tight ends on a bubble screen. Yeah. With Tonyan looking so good for the catch, that dude's been deadly. You can get a bubble screen to him, similar to like Kelce back in the day. You can get a big play out of that.
Yeah. And you even saw formations where they had Rashee Rice line up at H-back and then goes into motion. Right. I love that set, man. I love the way they were running some of those last night. They were putting some stuff on film, but I think it's kind of cool too because they're kind of letting the NFL know we're going to do whatever we want whenever the hell we want. And we got depth at wide receiver, running back, and at tight end. I think they're going to utilize these guys all over the field. But I have the Chiefs holding on to 4 tight ends. Do you have the same or
likewise? No? Yeah, Kelce, Gray, Tonyan, and Wiley. I like all the tight ends, man. These guys have looked really good. Wiley hasn't gotten as much run, but when he's gotten his opportunities, he's caught the ball. And I love having a guy like that just in a red zone package just to kind of give the defense an oh shit moment. Because they see that towering dude, we got Kelce on one side, maybe him on the other side. And it's like, or even Tonyan in there and him in there. Noah Gray's always been a threat to score touchdowns. We've seen that several times just last season. Yeah. I love this tight end room. I think it might be the best tight end we've had since in the Mahomes era, honestly.
And then we get to the wide receiver room, which I know this is the polarizing part of the prediction. You guys know that, like I said, that I don't think that Rashee Rice is going to be playing week 1. Mm-hmm. I could be wrong, but this is a prediction I'm having. I think that they figure something out and get the suspension going immediately, which is why I don't have him on the active roster. And outside of Rashee Rice, I do actually, believe it or not, I have 6 receivers making this roster outside of Rashee Rice to basically fill that void at the time. And I think because of the fact that Tyquan Thornton has done enough in training camp and in preseason, I'm not a fool here, guys. You guys know that I've been saying all along. I've been saying all along. I don't think Tyquan Thornton fills a void. I don't think he makes a roster. I can't stand with that take right now. I think that you see that there's an obvious and a chemistry between Patrick Mahomes and Tyquan Thornton. I think that Andy Reid likes Tyquan Thornton enough to keep him. You saw him early in the game, gets that deep pass.
A field stretcher.
Yeah, and
another field stretcher. Yeah,
he caught that ball, and I think after he caught that ball, I was like, okay, I'm at peace with him making this roster. That is where preseason does play its roles. That you have to see some things like that from fringe players. And Tyquan had a great release on the ball, great read on the ball, and brought that bad boy in even while hitting the ground. He makes a roster. My wide receiver room outside of Rashee Rice right now is Xavier Worthy, Hollywood Brown, Juju Smith-Schuster, Jalen Royals, Nico Remigio, and then Tyquan Thornton. And I saw a comment that we had just a minute ago from our guy, Dog Petter. I think Remigio does not make the roster, and the Chiefs find a running back to add to the roster that can also return punts. That's the thing, though. is the Chiefs already have those guys in Rashad Smith and Nico Remigio. Nico Remigio is a guy that the Chiefs are 100% keeping. Biggest reason why is that Dave Toub. Dave Toub is whenever he has a guy in special teams that he really likes, Andy Reid always concedes and always allows Dave Toub to hold on to the guys he wants to have in his special teams. Furthermore, Nico Remigio looked awesome last night when given the opportunity.
Awesome last night. He's proven himself in the fucking playoffs.
Every time, dude. Every time he's given a chance to catch the ball, he makes plays. He creates separation. He's quick. He's got good hands. Like you saw even on the play that was a holding last night. Big opportunity, made the most of it. And he still got the first down, I think a play later.
Held on to that ball and tough catch, bro. Yeah.
Yeah, Nico, I don't understand what people don't see in Nico. Like every time he's been given a chance, the dude does something. He's electric.
How did Chiefs Kingdom love Albert Wilson, but not like this guy?
That's what I'm saying, dude. Like,
you know what I mean?
I think Nico's very talented, very slept on, and has been given an opportunity. Free 81 TBH, man. That's the way I see it. So, what's your wide receiver room looking like, Trev?
So I have us carrying 7, actually.
Okay.
I am vacating the Rashee Rice thing right now, but in his place, I actually have Jason Brownlee.
Oh.
I've liked what I've seen out of that kid a lot. And you talk about chemistry. Anytime he's been on the field, man, that dude, he is a good route runner. That dude knows how to create space, and those kind of guys are valuable. So I have him place holding the Rashee Rice spot until then. And obviously I have Xavier Worthy, Hollywood Brown, Jalen Royals, my dude, Juju Smith-Schuster, Tyquan Thornton is making this, and I'm rounding it off with Nico. Yep. I think carrying 7 makes sense because we need depth at that position. Just because of, we don't the mystery behind Rashee's situation. We don't know, right? And so I think we need to kind of throw as many bodies, especially with the absence now of Skyy Moore now being gone. With that being a reality, I think that even gives us a little bit more reason to carry more guys that we can earn some trust with. Because like him or hate him, there was trust amongst the coaches with Skyy Moore for some reason, right? So he was always kind of around. So I don't see why a guy like Jason Brownlee, who's looked really good in the preseason, Tyquan Thornton, I think he's already proven himself to make this roster at this point, in my opinion. I think that it's been the hype is real with him right now. I don't think he's gonna be some kind of great player, but I think the dynamic of what he is. And not having another player like him on this team that's why MBS was valuable to this team. Love him or hate him, again. Having a taller guy that is a field stretcher that's a threat to go and get those deep 50-50 balls is valuable because we were missing that last year. We were trying to get it with Xavier Worthy, and it wasn't really connecting with Pat. I think that changes this season, obviously. But having another guy along who's a freak athlete, a second-round pick, a highly touted guy coming in the draft a few years ago, still has juice and still maybe a good situation can finally fall into his lap because he's been in, the Patriot situation wasn't a great one. So maybe this can be a good situation for him to kind of have some production, spotty throughout the year. So I think he's a lock to make this roster at this point from what I've seen. So I have us carrying 7, man, with Brownlee holding the place for Rashee Rice.
Okay. Offensive line, boy, how about my guy Kingsley last night, huh?
Dude, that's the most exciting part of this whole preseason, just from what I've seen from the
I heard a lot of crickets last night, Trev. And like the locusts were going nuts last night too, so it was kind of hard to hear them, you know what I mean? But the crickets were really loud last night, dude. The crickets that were, chirping due to Kingsley 𝚂𝙾𝙺 is showing y'all what the hell he is. Yes, preseason game, but he's showing you the progress. Because we all want to sit here and glaze on Josh Simmons, who also looked magnificent last night.
I'm so excited,
we can't pick and choose, though. We can't pick and choose and say, oh, Josh Simmons looks great. But yeah, that Kingsley had a one-off. How do we know that? How do we know that Kingsley didn't lock in? They didn't turn that page? How do we know? Because that's what he looked like to me. He looked like a guy that is finally getting comfortable in his feet, that is finally finding that confidence in his pass protection. Because we know in the run game, he's nasty. Man is out there throwing dudes around. Maybe not to Trey Pancake Papa Smith's level, who looked like Goldberg last night, just spearing fools. Man. But looks like a guy that can fill the void of losing a Joe Thuney. Will never be Joe Thuney. I will never put that on him because nobody's Joe Thuney other than Joe Thuney. But he looks like a guy that could become a starting left guard for this Chiefs team for years to come.
Absolutely.
And if that Simmons 𝚂𝙾𝙺 connection on that left side clicks like it looked last night, this might be the best offensive line in football. And I'm not being hyperbolic because you already have the best center and one of the best right guards in football, and Juwan Taylor, who in my opinion is a top 10 right tackle in this league, one of the best in the league. If you lock up that left side and Josh Simmons becomes a premier, all-pro-ish type of left tackle, which people like Louis Riddick is claiming him to be, and then Kingsley taps in at left guard, Patrick Mahomes is going to have he can wear the same jersey every week because it's going to be clean. And you saw, and this is what I've been telling you guys all offseason about, everyone's so confused about Patrick Mahomes' numbers dipping last year and the year before. Well, it's almost like there's context, because the last time Patrick Mahomes had a full-time starting left tackle, he had maybe the greatest season a quarterback's ever had. Won MVP, won Super Bowl MVP, won the Super Bowl. Wild how that works, isn't it? The year previous to the last 2 years when he had a full-time left tackle, and that was Orlando Brown Jr., who is not better than Joshua Simmons in my opinion. I think Joshua Simmons is going to be a lot better than Orlando Brown Jr., but he was a full-time starting left tackle. What happened? Boom, MVP season, Super Bowl win, won the way that we know the Chiefs are accustomed to. And so that is why, and I'm all about depth, and this is why another reason, Trevor, I'm keeping the fullback position off, is because I think that they want to keep depth at offensive line, because to the point I'm making, there also are injuries to be considered. There are certain questions we still have to ask. Can Kingsley continue to do this? Where's Jalen Moore fit in all this? The depth at other positions. This is my offensive line moving forward. Starters to backups. Joshua Simmons, Kingsley 𝙴𝙘, Creed Humphrey, Trey Smith, Juwan Taylor, Jalen Moore, Mike Caliendo, CJ Hansen, Hunter Norzad. I'm actually keeping Wanya Morris because I think the Chiefs like him still. And I'm actually going to keep Issa Poole. Issa Poole is going to be a guy that I think the Chiefs are intrigued by. I know he played later in last night's game, but because of, and the reason I'm keeping Issa, I think that's how you said it, Issa. The reason you keep Issa, in my opinion, is because of the uncertainty at Wanya Morris. If Wanya Morris, let's say, God forbid, something happens to Josh Simmons, right? You probably put Jalen Moore there.
Yeah.
But let's say that another injury happens and it's Wanya or Juwan Taylor. Now you're playing Wanya Morris at one of those tackle positions already scares the shit out of me. You need another body there that is a guy that Chiefs are comfortable with, and I think they like Poole. So I think he's going to make this roster. I think they keep 11 offensive linemen. That depth is something that you need to have. Joe Tooney was still the left guard. I think they keep 10 because he's a proven commodity. He's the best at what he does. But because of the fact we're still building on the Kingsley 𝙴𝙘 confidence, I do think they want to kind of hedge their bets here. And the fact that Simmons is a rookie who's coming off a knee injury, I think they want to keep that extra tackle there because Wanya is not a guy that I think they can rely on. They might like him, but they can't rely on him. I think they want to keep another body there. I'll probably be wrong, but I'm going to say they have 11 offensive linemen. What do you say, Drew?
If there's an injury to Simmons, I believe that would just be Jalen Moore's job to fill in.
Sure.
Because I do think there's a great chance that Kingsley steals that or takes that right guard or left guard position, because we could talk about people wanting to follow the money, who's going to make it more between the two of them. That is an argument, but Jalen Moore is making more money this season than Josh Simmons, so should Jalen Moore start at left tackle?
Right.
I think we know who the clear left tackle is at this point. So I think the best man for the job is what makes the most sense, and I think that's what can happen here between Kingsley and Jalen Moore. Yeah, so I have 9 total offensive linemen. I have Creed Humphrey, obviously, Trey Smith, Josh Simmons, Juwan Taylor, Kingsley 𝙴𝙘, Jalen Moore, Wanya Morris, Mike Caliendo, and Hunter Norzad. I just think those are the most consistent guys. I think those guys that are the most seasoned and know this system the best, the guys that we can trust the most at this point. I know Wanya is a scary guy to trust, but Wanya is not a terrible guard if you need him to fill in the guard position. He's a big body, strong dude, but put him on the edge is frightening, of course. But he's actually a solid guard if need be. So I don't mind having him as guard depth. I definitely don't want him as a tackle depth. But we've seen guys like Mike Caliendo fill in and play really, really well. And Hunter Norzad's still kind of a question mark. We haven't really seen too much of him. We haven't obviously needed him much, which is a good thing. Because he's basically the backup center at this point. But we have the best center in football right now, so no worries there. But I like that group. I like those 9. You can. I know you brought it. You kept. You like CJ Hansen.
Yeah, I think he makes the team.
Okay. I mean, that's definitely possible.
I'm not saying I like him.
Yeah.
But
I get it, man.
I think the Chiefs do.
The biggest issue this offseason was depth and just skill overall at the offensive line. So I think, I'm going to go with those 9 for now.
Then we have the defensive line. This is including edge rushers, like defensive ends and defensive tackles. So I have the Chiefs keeping 9 here. This is maybe the most interesting room to pay attention to this year because we know that they had a massive downfall from their sack totals over the last couple of years to 2024. I think the Chiefs as a whole had only 39 sacks, which is very, very much below what they've had in the previous seasons moving into 2024. But I do expect, because of the fact my favorite pick out of this draft, Ashton Jalati, showing what he can be, as we like to call him here at the Spoken Podcast, Teen Wolf Steph Curry.
Yeah, his best performance so far last night.
Like
awesome.
I believe Julia Gulia said it in the comments. I mean, he was in the backfield. Yeah, Jalati got into the backfield so fast he almost took the handoff. Yep. I mean, Julia, you're almost not being like funny about that. Like that's legit almost what happened. He had like just a cluster of bodies just all over him on that, which was hilarious. And Jalati was just a madman in that game last night. And I think he's going to definitely build off that, which is why it's no shock I have him making the team. So here's my 9 defensive linemen I have making the team: Chris Jones, George Karlaftis, Charles Omenihu, Mike Dana, Ashton Jalati, Omar Norman Lott, Mike Pennell, Jerry Tillery, and then Malik Herring. What is your list, Trevor?
Yeah, so I'm going to go Chris Jones, George Karlaftis, Mike Dana, Charles Omenihu, Mike Pennell, Jerry Tillery, Ashton Jalati, Omar Norman Lott. I was going to have Felix in there, but he got hurt. So I'm going to put Fabian Lovett in there.
Oh, okay, so you have 10.
I like what I've seen from Lovett,
okay.
Man. He's looked...
I love it.
Yeah, I love it. He's looked good, man. Just from, I think, specifically against the run. And we were great against the run last year, and I want to continue that. That's a big thing because the offenses, in a lot of ways, have kind of become more run-heavy offenses across the league because of the 2 deep safeties, the cover 2s, and a lot of the deep defense that try to take away the deep shots because that was taking over for a while. So now defenses have kind of transition to trying to stop the run. And at the Chiefs were one of the best run defenses in the league last year. We were even as bad as the Super Bowl was last year. Saquon had one of his worst games last year. So I want to keep that trend alive, and I think having depth at guys that can be, gap fillers and run stuffers, guys like Levitt are big body dudes that I like keeping around. And so I'm gonna throw him in there since Felix is out of the picture for this season. That's the guy that's gonna round off my group there, though.
Then we have the linebackers, and look, I think this is a room that a lot of people are worried about because the pass coverage over the last few years has been pretty bad from the linebacker position. I think it's going to be better this year. I don't know if it's going to be great, but the middle of the field is oftentimes a real problem for Spags and his defenses. And I think it all does start with the fact that Nick Bolton isn't exactly Fred Warner when it comes to pass protection. He's not really the most skilled pass protecting linebacker. Pass defender at linebacker. He's got very slow feet, and he's kind of a north and south linebacker. Like Trevor said last night, he's more of an old school throwback type of linebacker. He's not a guy that can scour the field and bat passes down and shit like that, which is where other guys in this linebacker room come into play. But we know that Nick Bolton is the green dot, as we say. He's the guy that's kind of running things and getting guys in position and things like that. So it really does begin and end with him at the linebacker position.
He's the extension of Spags.
100%.
Yeah.
100%, yes. And so I was really tempted to go with 6 linebackers here because I like what I saw from Cooper McDonald. I think he's been a guy that could make this team. We don't know what's going to happen with Jack Conklin, if he's going to go on the IR. With a knee injury, he didn't play the last 2 games. So he more than likely does go on the IR. I think the Chiefs really like him. There's Cole Christensen. I mean, there's guys on this team that that can make an argument to be that 6th linebacker, but I'm not going to go with it. I think the Chiefs are going to keep 5 because I think they want depth at other positions, and I think that the top end of the linebacker room is really good, which is why I think the Chiefs will be comfortable with that. Yes, and yes, the addition of Jeffrey Bossa, I think, is another reason why Spags is going to be confident with a 5-man linebacker crew. So my 5 is Nick Bolton, Drew Tranquill, Leo Chenal, however you say the last name, we never really fully understood. Jeffrey Bossa, and then Cam Jones. Cam Jones is a very good special teamer and a guy that can fill in a pinch and play at a pretty decent level. So those are my 5.
Yeah, mine 5 is the exact same. Jack Cochran probably. If Jack Cochran was healthy, they might go 6 here. Yeah, because I think Cam Jones is a lock. I just think his versatility, like you said, as a gunner on special teams too. The guy always makes good plays on special teams. Good instinctual player.
Yep.
But the addition of Jeff Bossa, man, I loved what I've seen out of him. He's so versatile. Kind of like a young Drew Tranquil in a lot of ways. When Drew was first playing with the Chargers, could just fly all the way around the place, make plays in coverage. Great instincts, and I think that kid has a bright future here as one of the best linebackers to develop in this group here. But yeah, Nick Bolton, Drew Tranquil, Leo Chenal, Jeffrey Bossa, and Cam Jones are my 5 for sure.
Yeah, and then we have the safety position or quarterback position, and this is actually one of my favorite rooms of the team because I think that Brett Veach has done an incredible job at signing guys and drafting guys here, which we know is an annual thing for him. I have 5 cornerbacks making this team, and there is some debate on who should be making this team from the back end of the defensive backs situation. Now, I'm going to tell you my 5, and then I'm going to explain to you why I have certain people missing. So, obviously, Trent McDuffie. Shout out to Julia Gulli, who she thinks, I just hate the guy. But he, believe it or not, I have him making the team. Christian Fulton, who looked incredible last night in a lot of instances. He was all over the field. He looked like money well spent. Yeah. He was all over the turf, but he, like I said, he made some really good plays, and I really like seeing him out there making plays like that because that adds a lot of confidence on the outside, which is what the Chiefs need. Noah Williams, you can make the case he's been maybe the best rookie player of this class.
The future of this room.
Yeah, I mean, I told you guys, and I meant it when I said it, and I'll say it again. I do think there's a chance that Noah Williams goes down as the best corner that Brett Veach has drafted. And that's high praise. But what I've seen from this kid and him being able to play on the outside and be versatile like he is, being physical like he is, being a ball hawk like he is.
Always in the right place. Like he's always around the play.
Yeah. I see a guy that is a future star, and I think that he could be Brett Veach's best corner to respect of Trent McDuffie, but I think that he could be even better. And I know that sounds crazy, but I cannot wait to see this kid's career take shape. But yeah, Noah Williams is my 3rd corner. Jalen Watson is an obvious lock. And then I have Joshua Williams making the team still. I know there are a lot of people out there theorizing would the Chiefs trade him. Is he still in Spags' doghouse? Maybe so. Maybe he still is. But Joshua Williams is a guy that I'm going to give some credit to here. Not only does he grade well if you actually care about that shit, I actually don't, but the thing I care about is playoff and Super Bowl experience. Joshua Williams has a ton of that. Since he's been in this league, all he knows is Super Bowl appearances. Been in the league 3 years, been to 3 Super Bowls. And this guy has played pretty damn well, too, in the postseason. Now, he's made a lot of boneheaded plays that I just cannot stand. Yeah. He made some bad plays on special teams, stupid penalties, things of that nature, which is why he's on the bottom of my list. But I would much rather have Joshua Williams out there than a guy that I think is getting cut, and that's Nazeeh Johnson. I'm sorry. I like Nazeeh Johnson as a player. I think he's a good story, being a late-round pick, guy that's overcome injuries, all that stuff. Man, he has been terrible this postseason, or this preseason. I'm not seeing a lot of good from Nazeeh. Now, I know they like him on special teams and things of that nature, and he can play nickel, he can play all that stuff, but, dude, I think there's just so many better guys at that position now on this team. They don't need to keep playing with this experiment. And that's what I think Nazeeh has become. And that's why I have Nazeeh not making the cut. Yeah. I think that Joshua Williams has more experience. He's a more versatile player. He's just a better overall player, just from a durability standpoint. So I have Joshua Williams making that cut over Nazeeh Johnson, whoever else you want to throw there in the mix that could be that bottom tier corner on this team. What's your cornerback room looking like?
I have us carrying 6. Trent McDuffie, obviously the top. Christian Fulton, who looked good. Jalen Watson is a lock, obviously. Noah Williams might be that dude. Chris Roland Wallace makes this as well. I like what I've seen on him.
I have him as a safety, so I didn't have him as a corner.
But he's one of those versatile guys. See, I have him in the corner room because he plays both.
Yeah.
So I have him in my 6. And then obviously Josh Williams. Just because, and I think Nazeeh Johnson is probably the more versatile player between the two, him and Joshua Williams. As a true outside corner, I just trust Josh Williams to make plays when it matters. Because he had bonehead, but any outside corner, especially when you're the Chiefs, man, and you're playing in big games, you're under a microscope. So things, his knucklehead plays are going to stand out compared to a lot of other guys that play his position. To me, he's just kind of a normal outside corner, a good depth piece to have. And I just trust him more than I would Nazeeh Johnson in big games. Because he's been there, like you said, he has the experience, he's been there, he's actually had some really big, he had a pick 6 in the playoffs.
Yeah. Joshua
Williams. He's had big moments in the playoffs, so I'm gonna hold on to that guy over Nazeeh Johnson, who's just honestly looked extremely mid and nothing exciting about the guy in my personal opinion. But if he makes the team over Josh Williams, I mean, I won't be shocked. This is just my preferential room here, so I'm going to go with those 6.
Then my safety room, I'm holding on to 5 as well. So there's going to be 10 total defensive backs that I have making the team. Some pretty chalkish names here. I know that with the loss of Justin Reed, the Chiefs are now relying more on the guys they've drafted, because over the last 6 years or so, the Chiefs have had veteran leadership from guys they acquired via free agency.
This might be our deepest room.
Right, which is why I think they decided to move off of some of the veterans. Like I said, they had Tyrann Mathieu for 3 years. Yeah. They ultimately transitioned to Justin Reed for 3 years, and they move off those guys. This is like that first year in quite some time where the Chiefs don't have that, alpha veteran acquisition that is leading that, leading that way. Maybe Isaiah Simmons does come, or Justin Simmons does come in. I would really like that acquisition, and maybe that's what the Chiefs will do, and we'll obviously talk about that if that time comes. Yeah. But at this time, it's a lot of guys the Chiefs have drafted that are going to be leading the safety room, and the first 4 guys are guys that I have that are guys the Chiefs have drafted. It's Bryan Cook, J.D. Hicks, who you guys know I think is going to be an absolute star this year, and he's already shown it. But him and Bryan Cook have looked incredible so far. Chamarri Conner, a guy that I'm very big on, that I think is going to take a big step as well. He's obviously rounding up that third spot. Chris Roland Wallace, who I have as a safety, predominantly, I think they're going to play him more as a safety as well.
I look at him more as like a depth guy. If like one of the safeties goes down, I feel like
that's what I'm saying. Yeah. I think he's going to be a special teams guy, but he's going to play in spots of guys who are banged up, things like that. Yeah, Chris Roland Wallace has done nothing, but I'm nothing but happy with what he does. He always seems to be a net positive.
He does his job.
And then this might actually shock people. I have a 5th safety, and I think it's going to be Mike Edwards. Now, I know people are like, well, no, he hasn't really done a lot. He's been banged up, things like that. Guys, Andy Reid, Steve Spagnuolo, these guys like veterans. They like guys that are proven commodities. And if we remember, man, not so long ago, Mike Edwards helped this defense lead a very elite charge to winning the Super Bowl. Yeah. Their last Super Bowl win, Mike Edwards had a lot to do with it.
Yeah.
He was a very good player for this defense. Now, maybe he's not the same guy anymore. That could be true.
And it's funny, too, because Mike Edwards has been on both sides of Super Bowls with the Chiefs.
Yeah.
He was on that Bucs team that beat our ass.
Very true,
so
yes.
A guy who's been there around and done it, man.
And I just echoed the fact that this is the first time now in over 6 years where the Chiefs don't have a Tyrann Mathieu or Justin Reed leading the way. Yeah. So if you don't have a guy like that leading the way, you know what I'd like? A veteran that has the tail end.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like if you don't have that leader up front that's the veteran guy you acquired, then have that guy that has that Super Bowl experience kind of pushing forward the young guys.
Yeah, outside of Mike Edwards, it would be Bryan Cook would be our veteran in that room.
Right.
I don't like that.
And I like Brian. We love Brian.
Yeah, I do too. But yeah,
he's got injury concerns. He's got things like that. Sometimes he whiffs on big tackles, things like that. I would very much like to have that back end guy that in a pinch can obviously play, but more than anything is more of like an extension of the coaching staff. And I think Mike Edwards gives that to the team. And they gave him, I think it was like $500,000-$600,000 in total guarantees, which is nothing, but it's more than nothing, I guess I should say. I think it's something of good faith of like, hey, man, we want you on this team. We're going to give you an opportunity to make this roster. I think just because of his veteran leadership experience, Super Bowl experience, helping this team, win a Super Bowl, took a Super Bowl from this team as well. I think that plays into it.
He made some big plays that year, man. Right. He had several big-time interceptions, made some big-time tackles. I mean, I'm a big fan of Mike Edwards, honestly. I think the guy's a pro's pro. And I think having high IQ players like that have a ton of experience matters a lot for a group that's still kind of developing, but yet has a lot of talent. So having a level-headed veteran in that room is massive. So I obviously showing my hand here, I have Mike Edwards in this room as well. But I'm only carrying 4 because I had Roland Wallace in the cornerback room right now.
Sure.
But Bryan Cook, J.D. Hicks, Chamarri Conner, and Mike Edwards. I love those 4 guys, man. I think this is going to be a group, and especially a guy like J.D. Hicks, who I think me and you obviously are very high on and expect him to maybe take that next step this year because we've seen it in spurts last year, what he could possibly be.
Yeah.
I think he's a guy that could take over this room and be the dude for this room, and I think that starts this season. I love, and Chamarri Conner too is a dog, man. They're similar in a way, but I think J.D. Hicks in coverage is a little bit better in my opinion. Chamarri can really struggle in coverage sometimes, but as far as laying wood and put someone on their ass, Chamarri might be that dude, and I mean Bryan Cook obviously, but this room's fun, man, and I think Mike Edwards being that centerpiece, that voice, the high IQ guy, the veteran that can kind of guide these young guys and becoming better players and evolving. as the season goes on, I think that's a solid group of safeties there.
Yeah. Then there's no real shock here. This is the special team side of things. Harrison Butker at kicker, Matt Araiza at punter, and then James Winchester as your long snapper. I'm pretty sure you have it the same.
Yeah.
And then our IR, my IR is FAU and Jack Cochran, or Jack Cochran, Cack. Yeah, Cack. You got Jack Cack.
Yeah.
Jack Cack. Yeah, Jack Cochran rounds out the IR room. Suspended, obviously, Rashee Rice. So that's why we have. That's why I have my wide receiver room the way it's looking. I have 6. Trevor has 7. But let us know, man. You guys want to fill out a whole depth chart? Let me know, man, what you guys have. The 53-man roster. We'd love it. Put it in the freaking chat. I don't give a damn, dude. You guys let us know what you guys have. Respond to us. React to us. Because now, Trevor, you know what? Before we get to the people, I do want to play the video. We got to play the video. And you know what video I'm talking about. Isaiah Pacheco from last night. I just wanted to post it on here because it went wild last night when I posted it last night on Twitter. But I'm just so happy Pacheco's okay. But this is the funniest shit in the world, dude. Go ahead and play it. Like, I'm so happy he's okay because that was so funny.
Came trying to get out of
the
Oh man!
Oh, that video took off last night.
Yeah, I'm glad he's all right, but that shit was hilarious. Live, me like,
dude, we instantly I'm like, dude, please be okay. He gets up and starts running. I'm like, okay, now I can laugh, and I laugh like
not again. This dude fucking hurt himself again.
I mean, dude, like I said in my tweet last night, it's like it's the 3rd week of the preseason, and Pacheco's out here running like that wall was the only thing standing between him and another Super Bowl win.
He doesn't have, dude. There's no gear shift.
Like, that's what you love, and like
fifth gear immediately.
I don't want to say you hate it, but that's what you love and like grimace about when it comes to Pacheco. It's like you love the energy, you love how much enthusiastic he is. He looked great, by the way.
Yeah.
But you're also like, dude, take it down a notch. Like, at least one. Like, do the one click. Like, you know what I mean? Like, just one. I'm not asking you to go like 5. Just one.
Yeah, when you get to the sideline, jog.
Yeah, just
jog toward the sideline.
Now, supposedly, there's people that were telling me that he supposedly tripped on a cord. I didn't see the cord, but I mean, according to what people are saying, he did trip on a cord, which caused him to fall forward like that. Yeah. Either way, like, protect yourself from yourself, buddy. Like,
neck, baby.
For real though, dude. Jeez. But that video was funny. I wanted to put that out there before we did because I thought that video was fucking hilarious. All right, so let's get to the people. It's time. We're like 30 minutes over time when it comes to speaking. We try to get you guys by noon. We haven't done that yet. Let's get to people. What are they asking us, man? What's going on in speaking?
Yeah, if you guys got more questions, send them my way. We have a few in here right now. Cell32Alt on YouTube. Speak it. Pat was on pace for 572 passing yards in a vanilla offense last night. MB3 loading.
This is what I've been trying to tell you guys.
Pat looked sharp, man.
I know that
a lot of that comes with having a legit left tackle, in my opinion. So
that's exactly what it is.
Sign of things to come.
You have time in the pocket. If you give Patrick Mahomes time in the pocket, because look what he did last year, guys. With no left tackle, they had 4 different people play left tackle last year for the Chiefs. Which, you know, when people say like, if you have 2 quarterbacks, you have none.
Yeah.
When you have 4 left tackles, you don't have a left tackle. And yet Patrick Mahomes was able to lead the Chiefs to the best record they've ever had in franchise history. He had 7 game-winning drives, 5 fourth-quarter comebacks. Both led the league. Had a 110 quarterback rating in the fourth quarter, led the league. And they went to another Super Bowl. Now he's actually got the luxury of being able to stand in the pocket and deliver the ball downfield without him freaking out about getting hit blindsided because he has Wanya Morass over there trying to fill in, and Joe Thuney has to play out of position. That's no longer the case. You have, not only do I believe the Chiefs have a real starting left tackle, I think they're going to have one of the better left tackles in football. And that is so exciting to talk about.
I see, bro. I'm not going to lie to myself.
And this is the perfect time for it to happen. It's the perfect time for it to happen because Patrick Mahomes is entering those years of not being old, but no longer being like that young player. He's no longer a young quarterback. He's that veteran, 29, 30-year-old quarterback that could really use having that. Now, I loved and hated seeing Patrick Mahomes run last night because I just don't want to see him get hit by a guy that is trying to make the team. You know, like the Bears. I mean, I got to make an impression. If I hit Patrick Mahomes real hard, I'll make the team.
Jar that ball loose.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So I'm glad he slid and everything. I hated him running, but the fact is that Patrick Patrick didn't run in that situation because he was running for his life. He was making a play. There's two different scenarios. You know what I mean? Like we saw in the Eagles Super Bowl, the first one, where Patrick Mahomes ran because he was making a play. He didn't run for his life. And ironically, that was the last game he had a reliable left tackle. So that's what I want to see again, and that's what we are going to see again. And because we're seeing it, although it was preseason, this is a precursor of what you're going to see this season, where fireworks are back, where the Chiefs are going to be able to start scoring in the 30s again. Because why? You simply give Patrick Mahomes time to dissect the defense, see where his players are, and be able to do what he does best, which is score touchdowns. So, yes, man, be excited, guys. I'm excited as hell because this team got better this offseason, and they were a 15-2, really a 14-1 or 15-1 team, if we're being honest. They submitted that, they conceded that Week 18 game to the Broncos and let them get into the postseason. But yes, that is what we're going to be seeing again. Get used to it, guys. 2022 is here again, in my opinion.
Yeah. Micah Hayes, who makes the roster, Nico or Thornton? I think me and you both have both of them making.
Both, yes, definitely do. If Rashee, let's say like there was no suspension at all, I would probably take Tyquan Thornton out, because here's the thing, guys. Tyquan Thornton is a good player in some regards, but with Rashee in place, does he really have a need? Because he isn't a special teams guy, and he's not going to get snaps over Rashee, over Hollywood Brown, over Xavier Worthy, over Juju Smith-Schuster. So he'd be what, wide receiver 5 or 6 at best with no special teams play? Like I don't know what he would really like. He would, to me, would be taking up a roster spot. But because Rashee's going to miss time, I am putting Tyquan Thornton on the roster, and it's because I believe that Rashee's going to miss time immediately. But yes, I have Nico. Trevor, you have Nico. We both have Tyquan Thornton as well, because they both have earned a spot to their defense. And like I said, I don't even know why we're even sitting here theorizing on Nico, because Nico's done nothing but prove himself worthy for this roster every time he's been given opportunity.
Julia Gulia, who makes the RB room? Because Elijah Mitchell did not impress.
Yeah, so that's why I don't have Elijah Mitchell on the team.
Yeah.
I think that Elijah Mitchell's a solid running back in this league, but I don't think the Chiefs have a real need or necessity for him. And quite frankly, I don't think he's reliable enough to make this roster, because he's always hurt. And if he didn't have injury concerns, he wouldn't be on this Chiefs team, because he'd probably still be in San Francisco. You know what I mean? He'd still be there, and that would be interesting, because maybe they don't make that trade for Christian McCaffrey.
Right.
You know what I mean? So injuries do play a factor.
I think a lot of people have Carson. A lot of people, at least across the predictions that I've been seeing and reading from other people, and notable writers, and a lot of people still think Carson Steele's making this roster. And the way I would, this is why this projects how I would do things on my picks here. The reason I have him is just solely on upside and a possible injury to one of our running backs. And I think he's like him or hate him, or not being impressed or not impressed by what you've seen so far, the dude has high upside and ability to have. He's a home run hitting run back. He's been a guy throughout his career, when given opportunities. Granted, he played for a good Niners team that always finds production out of the running back position, but when that guy has open field, that dude can hit home runs.
Right.
And granted, we haven't seen too much of that in the preseason yet, but he's a productive back when healthy. So I think him being healthy right now is a high upside value just to have at the bottom of your depth chart. At that running back room that has not been able to stay healthy for a while now. You know what I mean? So there's a high likelihood that Pacheco misses some games this year.
Oh, yeah.
If we're betting on that.
Yes.
Granted, we and you both are in agreement that we think Kareem Hunt's still the best running back in that room. So even if Pacheco does miss time, we still have Kareem Hunt. But I think Elijah Mitchell is more of a prototypical back to what Pacheco is compared to what a Kareem Hunt is. Kareem Hunt is that guy that has a different role, right? He's a bruiser. Elijah Mitchell is not that. Elijah Mitchell is a guy that you can actually throw the ball to as well, similar to a Brashard Smith kind of player. I mean, not as the upside isn't there, but I just think he's a good high value upside depth piece to keep around more than I think a Carson Steele, because for some reason people still think Carson Steele's making this roster. I don't know the upside there.
Yeah, like we had our guy Charles Goldman, who I'm a big fan of, AZ Sports, and he's done Chiefs Wire. He wrote an article this week about how the Chiefs, looking for running backs, or at least gauging interest in trade talks with other teams about their running backs, could be a bad sign or indication for Brashard Smith. And I see it the complete opposite way. I think it's more so like Trevor's alluding to, and what I've been talking about for weeks now, is that I hate to say it this way, but there's almost an inevitability to a Pacheco injury. that you know that there's going to be a time where he's going to be banged up, or maybe not even missing games, or just not as effective because of injuries that he continues to sustain due to his style of play. So that is why I think the Chiefs were gauging interest in trade talks, and may still gauge interest in trade talks. I'm not sure, and just because they're gauging interest doesn't mean they're for sure making a trade. They're just trying to see what's out there in the market. Would I like to see them make a trade for a running back? Not really. I don't know if there's a true difference maker out there that's a realistic piece to the puzzle that could come in here and just hit the ground running. I don't know if that guy's out there. I know that everyone would love to see Breece Hall here, would love to see Tyler Algier, would love to see Brian Robinson, who just got traded to the 49ers. There's names out there that people recognize, but you have to ask yourself, could they come in here and become that legitimate running back one? I just don't know if that's really out there. And plus, this is an offense that's going to throw the ball 650 times. They're not going to run the ball a bunch. So would you make a trade and give up a valuable asset in order to get a guy that you're going to run the ball with 11 times a game? I don't think so. So I think that you are looking at the team and looking at the room that they have moving forward, barring injury. And I just think that you're looking at pieces that all kind of play their own role. Hopefully Pacheco stays healthy, because if he is, he's that explosive, home run hitting running back that Elijah Mitchell is trying to be. That's why I said when the Chiefs first signed Elijah Mitchell, this is a guy they're trying to see if he can become what Pacheco is in this offense in case of that injury. Yeah. I haven't really seen that. I don't think that's going to happen. So I think you're going to see 3 running backs in this team. I think it's going to be Kareem Hunt in the short yardage, Rashad Smith with the ability to be a dual threat back, because you saw them last night utilize that in the passing game with Rashad Smith on multiple occasions. And Pacheco's going to be that running back, not a bell cow, because I don't think you can run him 20 to 25 games due to his injury concerns, but he's going to be that explosion out of the backfield that's going to give this team that energy that they did miss in those 10 weeks that he didn't play last year.
Reed. Micah Hayes, is signing Christian Wilkins now a better move for the future because Jones is aging and the D-line is thin?
We've talked about this situation for a lot, and I hate to be so dismissive to the question, but there's really no conversation to be had about Christian Wilkins and the Chiefs.
Or anywhere.
Yeah, well, yeah, possibly.
I haven't heard anything about anyone entertaining signing him right now. It's dead silent.
Yeah, and I think they're obviously waiting. I think a lot of teams are waiting to see the finality of this whole situation with him and the Raiders. The Raiders and him they're doing a buyout, which may be the reason why he maybe can't get signed yet. Yeah, so maybe he can't get signed yet. Yeah, no joke. But I just don't see any real scenario, guys, where the Chiefs are involved on Christian Wilkins, because it may not even be a schematic fit. I'm not even sure. You'd have to talk to somebody who's far more educated on that than I am. But I think it's a non-starter when it comes to that idea. I think the Chiefs are set on who they have now. Maybe there is a surprise cut somewhere that the Chiefs are bigger on that we don't know about yet. Then once they get cut, maybe the Chiefs do go and pick them up and cut another piece. I don't know. But what I am just about 100% certain on is that the idea of Christian Wilkins being in Kansas City is just it's not a reality.
Micah Hayes follows that question up with another one. What's up, guys? If Rice plays versus Philly, what are you guys' game prediction?
I mean, it's
jumping ahead in the schedule.
Yeah, we're just scheming. I'm very confident that the Chiefs are going to be the favorite in just about every game they play this year, because they're about as complete as they've ever been, especially, and that is saying something. Rashee. Yeah, and if Rashee does play in that game, I will go as far as to say that I would feel very confident the Chiefs win that game. Even though the Eagles are a team that you have to respect, and I do respect vehemently, they just kicked the shit out of the Chiefs in the Super Bowl, so I'm going to absolutely give that team their flowers. But yeah, they come into Kansas City and Rashee Rice is in tow, and the Chiefs have a healthy offensive line like they have right now. I feel really good about the Chiefs winning that game. Yeah, I'll go as far as to say that.
Yeah, likewise. Dustin Orton, speak it. Non-football, but what do you think about UFC moving all the content to Paramount and not having traditional pay-per-view anymore?
So I'm big on progress, and the more I've thought about it, the more I think this is a great idea. I think Dana White and the guys have been very innovative in their approach here, because I think that they're seeing the writing on the wall, that they don't have the stars right now that draw pay-per-view sales the way it once did 6-7 years ago when John Bones Jones and Conor McGregor were at their peaks. When you had guys like that, yeah, pay-per-views make a lot of sense. You know, that's why guys like Jake Paul, unfortunately, draw pay-per-view sales, and why boxing actually ironically likes him is because he gets box office. What the UFC saw here was an opportunity to get away from that archaic, in my opinion, the archaic movement of pay-per-view sales. I don't think this generation likes pay-per-views. I think this new generation of people are not buying pay-per-views. So Dana White saw it as an opportunity, and the UFC saw it as an opportunity to get away from that, go with a very up-and-coming streaming platform in Paramount. I never really gave them a lot of credit before, but they are really becoming one of the better streaming services out there. And I think they saw that, hey, this is a great business move because you're looking at the WWE and how they're moving to ESPN, and they're getting all their content over there, and it's, making a lot of sense for both sides to do that. I think that's just the way of the future. And with the UFC still being a growing brand, having to still, like I say, kind of switch up a little bit because they know they don't have the reliance of a superstar like Conor McGregor to sell those pay-per-views, they kind of have to go with a little bit of a safer bet, and that is going in business with Paramount/CBS. I think this is a great move altogether from a business standpoint and from a viewing standpoint, because like I said, Paramount offers one hell of a package when it comes to what they provide, and I think it's going to be a really good move for the UFC moving forward, so I'm excited about it.
Yeah, likewise. Dustin Orton, speak it may have already been addressed, but Lance, do you still think Thornton doesn't make the team? I think we've addressed that me and Lance both have Thornton at this point making the roster.
Yep.
Dustin Orton, speak it. Where do you think Micah Parsons and Hendrickson Bengals play this season?
So this is a very good question, because I can see this going very bad for both teams. Now, I will say that I think there's a much better chance that Hendrickson plays for the Bengals. And the reason I say that is because there's actually been conversations between the two sides, whereas there have been zero conversations in months between Micah Parsons' representation and the Cowboys. I've always been on the side, I've said it on the show, guys, that I think it was all posturing between the Cowboys and Micah Parsons, and maybe it is, because they have that new documentary just dropped on Netflix. Maybe they're trying to pump it. We know Jerry Jones is just a POS that loves to, he would sell his soul and probably his grandkids' souls in order for another $1 million in publicity. Maybe that's what this is. But as time is going on, it's starting to look more and more, guys, like this is gonna end. And Adam Schefter has even reported that it's almost inevitable that Micah Parsons is going to get traded. Whereas on the Hendrickson side of things, we're hearing that the language between the two sides is they have the dollar amount and the guaranteed dollars down as far as what they both sides want, and they've come to an agreement on that. But it's the guaranteed years is where they're so far apart. We're hearing that Hendrickson wants 3 years guaranteed, whereas the Bengals only want to give him 1. So they're going to have to probably meet at 2. That's probably what's going to have to happen. I'm not saying that I feel good about either side or either of these scenarios working out. Both of these scenarios can end up blowing up in these franchises' faces. But if I was to make a bet and say which one is more likely to play for their respective team right now, I don't even think it's close. I think it is Hendrickson playing for the Bengals, as crazy as that sounds because of how bad that's been going. But because of how you literally saw Micah Parsons sleeping on that table last night.
That was bad.
It's a horrible look. Yeah. And for the record, I'm 100% on Micah's side because Jerry Jones wants to sit here and bullshit on live on TV with Stephen A. Smith talking about how I had an agreement in place with Micah. No, you didn't. Micah Parsons says, don't talk to me about this, talk to my agent. Jerry doesn't want to talk to his agent because you know why? His agent is one of the new up-and-coming agents that represent a lot of players and got Deshaun Watson his fully guaranteed contract with the Browns. So he intimidates a lot of owners. And Jerry Jones, being the big dick Don that he wants to be, isn't ever going to be he doesn't want to be upstaged by a big-time hotshot agent, and that's why he doesn't want to talk to him. That's why he said on that multiple times on television, I told that agent to stick it up his ass. Well, that looks all cute and all, Jerry, but it ain't working because your best defensive player by a mile is not playing for you and has requested a trade formally and aggressively. So I really do think, as crazy as it sounds, Hendrickson will be the one that plays first for that team. But I could see both guys getting traded, honestly.
Yeah, Julie Gooey has a follow-up question to that one. Made sense here. Who has a worse defense without those two players, like Dallas or Cincinnati?
I think the Bengals. I think the Bengals have the worst defense.
And they were already terrible with Hendrickson last year.
Yeah.
They were the worst defense in football last year.
And that was with him.
Them and the Panthers were the two worst defenses.
Right.
And yeah, it was,
I don't think it's even a question because the Cowboys actually have some respectable defensive players.
Yeah, they have a good DB room.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the Bengals have, I think even with Hendrickson there right now, they're going to be a bottom 5 defense.
They're horrible last year.
And they're going to be horrible again this year because it wasn't their defensive coordinator's fault that they sucked. It's because of the personnel.
That's why I don't know why they sat on their hands not trying to trade him, get picks or something for him to rebuild that defense. I mean, I think paying him is still a mistake because if you keep him around, you try to draft around him.
The problem with that though, Trevor, is that if you don't pay Hendrickson, you're telling Joe Burrow that you're not trying to win right now.
It's tough. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, what message does that send?
Contracts to their star receiver.
Right, but what is that? What message does that send when you're talking about your veteran quarterback who will be 29 this year? You're going to trade his only good defensive player? How are you going to sell it on him? Hey, we're trying to win right now. We just traded the guy that led the league in sacks over the last 2 years.
Not our problem.
You know what I'm saying?
Not our problem.
I'm just talking, you know what I mean? Like, from that point of view, how do you sell that to your quarterback?
We've been there, though.
Yeah.
We've been there to a degree. Mac 10, I just want to get him this one out of the way. Do you guys think Tyquan Thornton makes the 53-man roster? If not, would you sign him to the practice squad? He's making the roster according to me and Lance. So, yeah, we have that out of the way. Our guy, James T. Kirk, can anybody get it through Eagles fans' heads that we all understand that they won the Super Bowl over the Chiefs? Congratulations, but we're moving on, trying to get back to it in another. Why are they stuck? I mean, they have the right to brag, man. They fucking beat our ass.
I mean, when the Chiefs won back-to-back Super Bowls, or any of the Super Bowls of the last 3, I mean, we relished in it.
You can act like we didn't beat the Eagles by that much. We wouldn't be talking shit too.
Oh my God. I mean, and it being a 3-peat, no less. Like,
This being the second time we beat the Eagles.
Look, Eagles fans have every right to talk.
Revenge on us too. On top
they have
of that,
every right. Like when the Bengals beat the Chiefs in the AFC Championship, the Bengals fans had every right to talk.
And I get it though. The Eagles fans are probably the toughest. One of the out them and the Bills at this point right now with the Chiefs. Some of the toughest to digest because a lot of it is just dumb insults for and then there's low IQ shit that goes on between all of it's kind of dumb to a degree, but as far as them being able to gloat, they should be able to gloat for that entire offseason and in the entire season because they are the defending champs.
Right.
So they have every right. Granted, do you like it? No. Does it taste good? Nope. It sucks. But they got their revenge on us, man. We beat them and then they came out and beat us badly.
Yep.
Spanked us. Just bent us over a barrel. So I mean, listen. And if you're gonna feel good, I mean, say the Chiefs beat the defending champ Patriots in the early 2000s.
Right.
You know what I mean? Imagine the shit we'd be talking, bro.
Right.
Come on, especially how much we hated Tom Brady growing up.
Right.
Fuck out of here, bro. I'd be talking shit too. Mahomes is basically the new Brady to this degree without the cheating scandal, so he's less easy to hate. But still, I understand the hate. When you're at the top, you have every reason to hate. Cell 32 alt. What about bringing Naughty back? Colin Saunders just got traded, and I'm surprised we were not in on that. That is a good point. I would have liked to have Colin Saunders back. That would have been a great.
That would have been cool.
That dude's awesome.
The problem though is that Colin is a guy that's still good enough to get a nice contract, and I don't think the Chiefs were trying to give him that. Naughty, yeah, I'd be all for bringing Naughty back. Dude. Naughty by nature for sure, dude.
Still happen.
Yeah, I'm not saying that won't. I would imagine Naughty's probably trying to look for the best payday because he's a multiple-time champion. So he's probably I got my rings. Let me try to go get mine. And I don't blame him at all.
Freak athlete, too.
But yeah, if he wanted to come back on a 1-year, $3-4 million deal.
Or come about
Derek Naughty. Yeah, if he wanted to come back on a short-term deal, absolutely. Sign me up for that. He's only, 28, 29 years old.
Seamless fit.
Yeah, he's played, like I said, he's helped the Chiefs win 3 Super Bowls. So I'm all for it. Yeah, bring him back if you can. I would much rather have him than Jerry Tillery or even Mike Pennell. I love Mike Pennell. He's helped the Chiefs win multiple Super Bowls too.
Yeah.
But
James T. Kirk, Lance, who you got? KU or Fresno State today in Lawrence? Bulldogs by 2 scores in the upset.
No, I definitely have KU winning that one. No offense to your Fresno guys, man, but I think that KU is going to take care of business. I love the additions that the KU's made this year. I think that they've really bolstered the roster on the interior side of things, and you're going to see that. And just the continuity at quarterback, losing your corners like Kobe Bryant, guys like that sucks, obviously, and you're still bouncing back from that. But I think the defense is going to be surprisingly good at getting at the quarterback, and I think that's going to be tough for Fresno State today. But if your boys win today, bro, congratulations to your guys. I just feel very confident that KU wins the game.
Put your money where your mouth is, James. How about that? Let us know if that bet wins. That's all we got for the people, man.
Awesome. Hey, man, we appreciate you guys. It's a fun time every time we get to answer questions and talk to you guys about whatever it is you guys want to talk about, because like I said, it's a free reign. We don't have to just talk football. We don't have to just talk Chiefs football. We talk MMA. We talk baseball. We talk whatever you guys want to talk about, man. We talk badminton if you want. I'd rather not because I don't know much about it, but we will talk about it if you guys want to so badly. But Trevor, we have one more order of business to get to. What is it called? Hold this L. Each and every episode, we finish off every single episode with a series of L's in the world of sports. Whether those L's are friendly L's or not so friendly L's in the world of sports, we promise you who's ever holding the L's in the world of sports and deserve those L's in the world of sports. Trevor Twidwell, who's holding the L for you this week?
So, my L is going to go to Anthony Richardson, man. I hate to kick a guy while he's down. And it's honestly less about him as a person or as a player. It's more about just the situation. He was drafted in the first round to be a franchise quarterback, and he's had his own faults. I get it. And I'm not even the biggest Anthony Richardson guy. I know Lance, the guy across the table from me, definitely is. I like the talent. I like high upside guys like that. I like freak athletes that can become a polished, at least a semi-polished quarterback on top of being maybe the best athlete we've ever seen coming through the draft at this position. And that's including guys like Cam Newton. This guy's an absolute freak. As far as size, speed, and agility and the things he can do just with the ball in his hands. He's like a defensive end out there playing quarterback and making guys miss and throwing 65-yard touchdowns. I like the idea of what he could have been, and I love the pairing, honestly, with Shane Steichen. I thought that was a good mix. I thought he had a lot of promise and upside, and I thought this was the year to really give him that chance, that opportunity to be that guy.
Right.
Turns out that's not the case, and Shane Steichen has announced that he is giving the job to Daniel Jones. And made it very clear that Daniel Jones is the guy for the season. And he doesn't want to keep him on any kind of short leash. He wants to commit to Daniel Jones. They brought him in for that reason. Daniel Jones sucks. Daniel Jones is not a good NFL quarterback. I think the most touchdowns he's thrown in a season was, or I think he had that one season where he threw like 23 or something like that. But since then, he has not topped more than 15 or 16 passing touchdowns in his league.
Yeah.
We could talk about, for fantasy purposes, the guy's produced good fantasy assets because he just checks it down to his players and just constantly is getting rid of the ball quickly. The dude's an athlete. Don't get me wrong. The dude can run without question. Daniel Jones is a good athlete, but it's not even close how much more upside there is with Anthony Richardson. But unfortunately, Anthony Richardson has put his own damper. He's been his own wet blanket at times. Last season, him tapping himself out of a game, terrible look publicly in the middle of a game when you're supposed to be that leader. I hated that for him because I was rooting for him.
Yeah,
I want to see, and I'm not going to talk down the guy like I'm putting dirt on his grave like his career is over. It's far from over in my opinion. Even far from over, possibly being a Colt. But as far as this season goes, I thought this was going to be the season they really at least lean into him because there's not a lot. Let's be honest, there's no high expectations for the Colts this season. There's not. I know they got good players. They honestly have a really good roster, and I think Shane Steichen is a hell of a coach. He's been a productive quarterback whisperer type of coach too. He's gotten great stats out of guys that you never thought, that it is what it is. But choosing Daniel Jones was an odd choice, so I could be even giving the L to Shane Steichen in my opinion because I think Daniel Jones is ass. I don't think he's good at all. I've always been a hater of that guy. I just think he's extremely overrated for where he's been drafted for one, and he's never been a good NFL quarterback.
Yeah,
we've known that for years now. Dayball can't even get squeeze the best juice out of that shit. You know what I mean? So like, if Dayball can do it, a guy who's gotten good quality, out of players as well in his career has been a good quarterback coach. And they had Malik Neighbors and other good players around him. I just don't understand how Daniel Jones keeps getting away with this. But this L is definitely going to Anthony Richardson though because I feel like he's semi-squandered this opportunity. And honestly, and I'll be honest too, like his performances haven't been great either. He's had big moments. He's had big home run throws and have been converted to touchdowns. He's got a hell of an arm. It's unreal, the athlete that he is. But he hasn't put it together. I think a lot of it is mental, in my opinion. And I guess for whatever reason, he's losing this job to Daniel freaking Jones. And I hate that honestly, just for my eyeballs, for football viewing purposes. I want to watch Anthony Richardson become something because I think he's fun. Daniel Jones is not fun. He sucks. But for some reason, he's lost the job to a guy that sucks. So his coaches don't think he's better than a guy that sucks. So for that reason, Anthony Richardson is going to have to do me a favor and
hold this L. Fucking damn it. Sucks.
Colts are going to suck this year, bro.
Yeah,
Unfortunate.
I'm gonna have to probably agree with you on that.
They'll probably win just enough games to like be like semi-talkable. Like maybe they'll win this game. Dude, they put their faith in Daniel Jones. It's over. He sucks, bro.
I don't disagree. All right. First of all, I want to give a W. You guys know that we always love to give shout-outs around here, especially when it comes to fellow members of the Chiefs community, the content creating community. We got the announcement this week from our guys over at All Chiefed Up that they reached 49,000 YouTube subscribers. Man, I always like it's always fun to watch your brothers, your friends succeed in life. That's always something I get so excited about, genuinely. And the cool thing about those guys is I consider them like both. They're like friends and they're like brothers as well. And there's a lot of similarities, Trevor and I, with them, being brothers that do a show. And we grew up very similarly, had, very common interests in music and, a lot of references of movies and things like that we very much agree on and share. Great hangs too, man. Every time I've hung out with those guys, I always have a blast. But I want to give Steve and Mike Williams a definite shout out and give a W today.
Keep that W, guys.
Yeah, because we've had other shows and detractors try to demonetize them on YouTube, and they've been through a lot of shit, and they've gotten shit from a lot of people. But I love the fact those guys just keep going out there and firing off what they do, and they're themselves, genuinely themselves. They don't try to succumb to any pressures of any societal norms or anything like that. They're just who they are, and I very much appreciate that. And their show is a representation of their hard work. The results are there, and I could not be happier for them. I'm definitely proud of those guys, and I hope they just continue to kick ass like they have been, because their show is one of my favorite shows. I was actually watching their episode yesterday, and they always put out good content, man. Our styles are very different on how we do our shows, but I always feel like we have a very similar approach to what our mentality is and what we want to provide, and it's honesty, it's authenticity, and just the truth, man. As much as we can find it, and as much truth as we can provide to the show, we try to give you guys, and that's why we attach ourselves to great shows like them, Chief Concerns, and other people like that. So wanted to throw that W out there, man. My L is going to go to one Chase Edmonds, who is one of the newer people on a once awesome show known as Good Morning Football. This was his take after Kyle Brandt. I could have given this L to Kyle Brandt, but that's just too easy at this point because his take was insanely lazy. But I wanted to add Chase Edmonds to the new list of L takers on the show, if you will, because he decided to have a take that, if you just listen to it in a very general sense, it sounds like he's saying something that's really cool, but I'm going to break down to you why it's just absolutely stupid. Trevor, go ahead and play it.
Crazy as it is for me to say this, and I'm a big number 15 Patrick Mahomes fan, I think this year he has to go back out and remind the world that he's the best quarterback alive. And I say that, man, Ty, you know how it is. The NFL is all about what have you done for me lately. And despite the Kansas City Chiefs have taken 3 straight trips to the Super Bowl. And despite that, though, you look at Patrick Mahomes' stats basically since the Super Bowl that they beat the Philadelphia Eagles in 2023. He's thrown for 4,100 yards, 27 touchdowns, and 14 picks. And then last year, 3,900 yards, 26 touchdowns, 11 picks. Last year you had Lamar Jackson. He threw for 4,100 yards, the first quarterback ever, 4,100 yards, 40 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, 800 rushing yards to go with it. Josh Allen has an MVP year. Joe Burrow has the unanimous best passing stat, if you will, of all the quarterbacks, 4,900 yards. So I just think about it when you look at all these stats and these guys are, right on Mahomes' heels. I think that this year it could very well change if Josh, Joe, or Lamar go out to Arrowhead, AFC Championship game, and they beat him to go on to win a Super Bowl. Well, the conversation might change now where it's like, hey, are they at the top of the hill now? So as crazy as it is to sound for me, I do think that this is, I don't want to call it a prove-it year for Patrick, but it's just a reminder year that he needs to remind people that he is the best quarterback in the world this season.
Yeah, the reason it sounded crazy, Chase, is because it is crazy. Because you were all over the place there, man. And look, I think Chase was trying to start his take with something. It sounds like he's trying to be positive because he's a fan of Mahomes and he believes in Mahomes and he thinks he's the best quarterback in the league. That's not the issue I have here. It's the standardization that doesn't make any sense of what we're doing anymore. Because, again, Trevor and I and a lot of you guys probably grew up in the same generation or same time frame as we did, we were always told that what makes you the greatest in football or basketball, baseball, whatever, in sports, is what you do in the biggest moments and if you're a winner. Those were always, I was always taught, even if I disagreed with it, that was what I was always told throughout history. You know, Joe Montana at one time was the GOAT to everybody because he had 4 titles and he played his ass off in the Super Bowl, right? He made some epic throws. They had some epic moments, right? So that was why Joe was the GOAT for the longest time. Then Tom Brady took over. Because why? He won more titles. They had these big-time runs of being a dynastic team for years. That's why Tom's the greatest. And then Patrick starts doing the same thing, except at a higher level statistically and in team success on a consistent level for a consistent period of time. Now it's, well, I mean, I know he went to like 3 Super Bowls and won 2 of them, and I know he's doing things at an unprecedented level, but...
He's been in the AFC Championship game every single year of his career.
But yeah, his stats, though, last year, Trevor, weren't the best, and the year before that, they weren't the best, and, I'm going to sit here now and talk about box scores, but then 10 seconds later, I'm going to tell you that if Lamar, Josh, or Joe beat Patrick Mahomes, then we can start having the conversation they're better. So which one is it? Because you're now saying that Mahomes, although he won a bunch, his numbers weren't good, but then you want to say, well, these guys' numbers were better, and if they beat him, then they're better. Like, where is the dividing line? I want someone to break it down to me to the atom of what makes you the best, because Kyle Brandt, and you can find the clip on his Twitter account, he, of course, won't respond to me anymore, is because Kyle wants to say that, well, Patrick is the greatest of this generation because he keeps winning, but no, he's not the best because his numbers aren't the best. When that is actually factually incorrect. The first 7 years of Patrick Mahomes' numbers are not only better than anybody else's, they're better than anyone else's ever. But because he had 2 years that, once again, are contextualized based on his left tackle position and his receivers' availability and lack of talent, in 2023, they literally set a record for drop passes, guys. Patrick Mahomes led that team to the Super Bowl. Patrick Mahomes has not had a full-time starting left tackle in 3 seasons. Still went to the Super Bowl 3 straight years. Has never had the same left tackle start in the 5 different Super Bowls he's been to. It has literally been a different left tackle every time. And yet this man has still won multiple MVPs and has had some of the greatest, if not the greatest statistical seasons in the history of the NFL. And last time I checked, people were saying, well, you can't win MVP and the Super Bowl because it hasn't happened since Kurt Warner. What did Patrick Mahomes do in 2022? Did the damn thing.
Yeah, shut the fuck up.
So it's just wild to me. And again, I think Chase was trying to make a good point about, hey, man, go out there and prove you're the best. He does not have to. He has been doing that every fucking year. What more can this man do to prove to you all that he has nothing left to prove? Yes, Patrick Mahomes is going to see it differently. Yes, Patrick Mahomes is going to go out there with a chip on his shoulder because he just got his ass clapped in the Super Bowl. Yeah, that sucks. But you know what doesn't suck? It's going to the fucking AFC Championship every year of your career. Patrick Mahomes is literally a month away, guys, less than a month away from being 30 years old. That would mean that Patrick Mahomes' entire 20s was spent in the AFC Championship. Think about how insane that is. The man's been a starter 7 years, going on 8 this year, and has been to the Super Bowl 5 of those years. Has won 3 Super Bowl MVPs. Has won 2 regular season MVPs. Is leading all quarterbacks in every statistical category since he's been a starter. What in the fuck more could this man do? Why are we still having these conversations? Why are we still playing all this bullshit narrative? It is insane to me. And like my guy Nick Wright said, if any of these other quarterbacks you want to circulate and to say could be or is better than Patrick Mahomes, Lamar, Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, if any of them just had the same year that Patrick Mahomes just had, statistically and success-wise, that would be their biggest moment of their career. But we're sitting here saying that the dynasty's over in Kansas City because Patrick Mahomes had that year. He has standardized against his best version of himself.
Yeah, we got people waiting in line to call Josh Allen the best quarterback in football, and when he finally beats Mahomes, they'll be able to finally say it. But they don't want to say that Patrick Mahomes is the best.
Even though he's beaten him 4 fucking times in the playoffs.
They're waiting in line to give Josh Allen that crown. It's hilarious, bro.
So Chase Edmonds, I'm sure you meant well, dude, but you're gonna have to do me a solid, and it's gonna rhyme. And hold it L. We appreciate it, buddy. Thank you.
You tried.
He's new to the show. Maybe give him a break. Still got to catch the L though. You know what, man? I appreciate you guys catching the show today, though. This was a lot of fun. We appreciate you guys every single week. I tell you at the top, tell you at the bottom. Go to YouTube, The Spoken Podcast. Hit subscribe, hit share, hit notify, hit all the fun buttons. But the one we need you to hit the most is the comment button because we want you guys to be a part of the show each and every week because that is what makes this show fun. We have fun every single week. And guys, I don't know if you know about this, but we just had our prediction show for our 53-man roster. You know what that means about next week. Episode 235 is our official 2025 NFL prediction show. That is my favorite show every single year. We've done it now since 2019. I'm excited as hell, man. Trevor, Trevor and I have no idea what we're predicting. We've not talked about it one time, and we will not talk about it.
I still don't even know.
Yeah, I mean, there's certain things I'm still uncertain. Yeah, 100%. But this is why we wait until the very end. Now that you have your fantasy football drafts about to go, and we're right there at the tail end of the preseason and going into the regular season. This is the best, man, and I hope you guys are stoked. I hope you guys have your predictions. I want to get your guys' predictions. I want MVP predictions, offensive player of the year, coach of the year, defensive player of the year. I want all of them. Give me all that you guys have this next week, man, because that is when we're going to be dropping those your way as well. So for the great Trevor Twidwell, for the great Clay Wendler that does all the back-end things here at Red Tribe Cinema, for the entire family here at The Spoken Podcast, we want to thank you guys so much. I'm Lance Twidwell. Episode 324 of The Spoken Podcast is done, finished, and finito. And until we are back here in 1 week's time for our annual NFL prediction show, we out of this bitch.
Later.